If I ruled the world, I love 'em, baby.
All right, episode 4.
How do we explain this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we just had to comb over some stuff. I guess during the taping of the Tim from V.O.D. episode 4, I mistakenly double tapped something and got rid of my vocal take, leaving George and Tim intact, which was cool. So we just needed to kind of attend to it and give it some proper TLC before we could send it out into the world.
Yeah, the funniest part is it happened.
Is it really a funny part though?
It's going to be funny later.
Okay.
But Tim actually asked, did Joe lose a podcast? And we figure right around there is when some of the podcast got deleted and some of it had to be redubbed back in. But luckily, we're professionals.
Yeah, it's almost like it went from his mouth to like my brain to my finger.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like if you told this story again, and if this was in a movie, you would be like, God damn, this is like the dumbest like movie thing ever. But it worked. I don't know what Tim did. He did some crazy like Merrick Baldwin move on me and made my finger do things that I didn't want it to do.
Yeah, it would have been like too on the nose, like it was scripted. He said it, and then it got deleted.
Yes.
But it's all back together now and ready for people to listen to.
It was fun.
It was funny. It was funny when we got into the car. The first thing I thought in my head was, it sounded like something my dad would say. I thought, that man is a gentleman.
Oh yeah, no,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
He walked us out.
Yeah,
like it's hard to explain exactly, but that's just this impression I got from him. But I've known him for many years. I've known him since V.O.D. started playing shows on Long Island in the hardcore scene, and I've booked them and I've toured with them. But I think I said it at the end of the podcast. Tim is a private guy. And that doesn't mean that he wasn't somebody who wouldn't hang out and he wasn't like in the corner hiding or anything, but you just get a certain sense about some people, what they're willing to share and what they talk about. And I toured a ton with V.O.D. and was around Tim a lot, but it's just always the impression that I had. So I think we've got a lot more in this interview than I've ever heard in interviews, and we got to some of the things I wanted to talk to him about particularly his voice. All three of us in the room being singers, and we just got a little bit more out of him than I've really ever heard, and that was kind of what we were planning to do. Like, let's just put this whole thing together, just mostly about Tim and what he's been through.
Yeah, and I think doing the chronological thing for his conversation in general was great, because it just allowed us to not miss anything, and some great stories in there, like the Phil Anselmo thing, like how he jumped on Imprint and how that came about. The fact that he's only been in 2 bands that were both super successful. A lot of good stuff on there, and definitely talking about his vocals and all that other stuff. And for me, not knowing he was such a big Doors fan was a kick for me too, because I love the Doors. So
yeah, him explaining I guess the combination of the people that influence him and just all the little details, and it's funny when you do know somebody and you have spent time with them, and then here's a timeline, just put it all together, you get to ask what you want. And he was super generous with his time. We sat in his basement, even while his kids are running around upstairs. At some point you can hear it in cats. And we appreciate that. That's something that you always feel maybe a little nervous about to a small degree, is like, hey, can we interview you? Where can we interview you? And they invite you in their home. You feel a little apprehensive or something, right? You just feel like, okay, now I'm a guest in your home. And then right away, it's just comfortable, and it's deeply appreciated when we just get put in that space and someone's ready to talk.
Absolutely. Super great guy. I had a great time talking to him. So I think that's about it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. This is Tim from V.O.D, episode 4 on If I Ruled the World.
Get up, look around, and you will see the life that is eternity. I do with them my own way.
All right. You ready? Yeah. All right, here we are. We are in an undisclosed location in the Bronx, New York, with our guest, Timothy James Williams from Vision of Disorder. What's up, Tim?
Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Here we are, podcasting away. I am ready.
Podcasting away. We'll keep it undisclosed because I don't want any of your fans knocking on your door yelling, play Formula for Failure, or we can't have it.
Yeah, none of that. I don't know if my neighbors would be into that.
So we were thinking, Sam and I, when we're going to do these interviews, we always do a stack of notes, which you've witnessed, and we go back through interviews and articles and all the things we could find on you and your band. And then I kind of realized something. I didn't see like a full history of you, how you started in music, the bands you played in, up until now. So that's what we're going to do, if it's okay with you.
All right, we can do whatever.
So let's not go back to like you last picked in dodgeball.
Yeah.
Let's start with V.O.D, when it started, where it started, the guys, and how that all went.
V.O.D started in, I guess, the last year in high school. So I guess that's 92. And it wasn't me who started it. It was, and I don't know if we weren't called V.O.D at this point, but it was Kennedy and Baumbach. And then we had this other drummer, Mike DeFury. They were the guys who were in the band. And I was, I guess before that, me and Kennedy, I'll ramble a little bit here, but me and Kennedy were friends for our entire lives.
Yeah.
Since we were like 5 years old. But there were periods when we did not talk and we did not get along for whatever reasons kids do that, you know. And this was a period that we didn't talk from like 9th grade to the beginning of 12th grade. We started to have like mutual friends again. And I had been singing on my own, doing my own little demos, very Doors-esque.
Right.
Because that's basically how I broke into getting to the point of really wanting to be in a band was the Doors. Before that, in my whole life, you know, we won't go too far back, but for some weird reason, I always wanted to be a singer. I don't know why. It was just always there. I don't know if it's what I was meant to be or whatever the hell it was.
Did your parents listen to The Doors?
No, but they listened. There was always a lot of music in my house, but there's no musicians in my family at all on either side. I had my family, we have property out east on Long Island in a town called Cutchogue. I don't know if you guys know that. North Fork. It was like the scene of Mike Fleischman's first show was actually out there in a garage. But anyway, some of my friends out there turned me on to the Doors, and that's how we got into it. I remember a neighbor of mine around, I don't know, 10th grade or 9th grade gave me a Doors record, and he was a weird musician, but he gave me L.A. Woman. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, these guys look so fucking weird, and I just got rid of it. I didn't listen to it at all. I just was like, later. But then later, like I said, about 11th grade, I got turned on to them, and that's how I started doing things on my own. There was this guitar player, my friend who had a brother who was a guitar player. We cut a couple of demos, which were, I don't know where they are now, but they were pretty interesting.
YouTube.
Yeah, right. But anyway, so we would speed
Hit
up.
play, Sam.
Yeah.
This is your life, Tim.
We so now we're in 12th grade and we're starting to hang out again, me and Kennedy and Baumbach, and we're drinking, doing what high school kids do, and listening to metal and moshing in backyards, and it was a good crew of kids, and we all hung out listening to heavy music and stuff. And Kennedy and Baumbach, yeah, we got this band, and I was like, yeah, well, I'm kind of a singer. But long story short, Kennedy was against it because of whatever our history was at that point. He wasn't into me really coming down.
Right.
But Baumbach talked him into it. They had this really cool, I guess for 12th graders, little half garage studio set up with an insulated wall, and you'd go in there, and it was, you know, they had the amp set up and the drummer. And they finally let me come and audition. And I did a couple of times. I think I went back 3 times. And Kennedy still would not accept me in until I came in. I think I did The Trooper. And after I did the truth, I was like, "That is it. He is in."
That's a hard song to sing.
Yeah,
really.
well,
It's
what was
weird
I,
when
fucking 17 years old, so I think my
and someone
voice was
knows
a
you
little
so
higher.
well. Like Kennedy knows you not as a singer.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the hardest.
Yeah,
people
I
who
think that's
you know
what it
well.
was, you know? But Baumbach was like, "That is it. He is in." And so the rest is history, at least for me getting in. And then I guess a strange triumphant moment, which was very weird in the town we lived in, which was Merrick. We won the, I guess we did the high school talent show, and we did Love Me 2 Times by the Doors. Standing. We rocked the place. It was insane. It was crazy because we were like dirtbag kids. You know, no one really, you know, the stories, typical story. We hung out in our own little circle. You had the jocks, all these other people.
You're talking to two dirtbags.
Yeah, well, I guess I was one too. So we after that show, it was like fucking rock stardom in the school. It was really fucking weird. And so we did really well at that. And then there was actually a battle of the bands where we played original material, same high school, and we won that. And by then it was still just me, Baumbach. There was no bass player, obviously, and it was that other drummer. So Brendan still wasn't even in the band yet. So this is the beginning, very early. And we won those two things. And Kennedy, for some reason, we did like 5 or 6 songs. And before and after every song, he told me, "You must announce that these are original songs. Original." And if you have the video, I don't think it's out there. I might have it upstairs in my drawer. But it shows me saying, this is an original end of the whatever the song was. I can't even, "So Says You" or something like that. This is another original, whatever the song was. So Kennedy was very proficient from early on. He had a very, very deep drive for things. But so after that, we kind of got out of the high school thing, and it was probably summerish of that year we started playing, you know, we got into a couple of venues. And the first one we played, I guess it could either be Hammerheads. It was probably Hammerheads. Or it could have been, did you ever hear the Dry Rock?
Dry Rock Cafe.
Yeah, we definitely played there.
I never might have played there.
Yeah, we played there. I can't remember if that was the first or the second. These guys would probably kill me right now for not remembering. But I'm going to go with Hammerheads. But we definitely played, used to call it the Dry Rot, or Dry Crotch or something like that. But we did Hammerheads.
Rumor has it turned into a swingers club.
I believe that. I think, yeah. God knows what happened.
Rumor has it.
Yeah.
Not that
yeah.
it's just a rumor.
So we did Hammerheads, and those were fun because those were just metal bands. That's it. God knows what they were like. I remember a band from Oyster Bay named Tommy Rot, and the only reason why I remember that is we had some decent shows with them, and then one of their friends became a very close friend of ours for years and years and years. So, yeah, that would be the very early deal.
When did you guys move into playing hardcore shows?
It's very interesting. Hammerheads, exactly the same area of time. We did a couple of shows on our own. Then I don't know. I guess we cut the demo, the Formula for Failure demo.
Yeah.
And by then we had it. So any time we played or anywhere we were fucking passing them out. And I think somehow it got to the Loyal to None guys.
Right.
I don't know how, but Brian Smith and
Brian Meehan.
Meehan, yeah. They came down. I won't forget this because they came down to a show at Hammerheads, and it was like a big fucking deal, you know. And it was Brian Smith and me, and they came down, and we talked to them, and we were hanging out with them after the show and stuff. Yeah, you guys are great. We really like you guys. Why don't you come? I think it was either we want to do a split with you or something like that.
Right.
And we wound up, because by then we were all ready and geared up to do stuff. So we wound up doing that split 7-inch with them. And that, I would say, was the big break for us, because now a couple of people on that side of the fence started hearing about us.
Because I remember seeing you at the Angle.
Yeah.
And it was this feeling like, who are these guys? Because it was awesome and unexpected,
Weird
honestly.
Time.
And then it just sort of seemed like it came from nowhere. And you said before that you were rock stars in Merrick.
Yeah.
And there was a thing about your band that you brought all these kids. The only band they liked in that scene at first, at least, was V.O.D. And they'd come in when you guys played, and they'd fucking leave when you left. And it was interesting because there was like a sort of changing of the guards when you guys just kind of came in and brought everybody.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My relationship with your band is I'm not a hardcore kid. I've never I've never really listened to it, but the only band that really made me look up from my Sonic Youth records was V.O.D. When I heard the Loyal to None flip side, and I heard, Take Them Out, and I was like, what the fuck? This is just awesome. It was just different. For some reason, it just connected with me. I don't know why. Nothing else did at the time. I was listening to Lemonhead, Sonic Youth, and I was like, I like this V.O.D. band.
Because it was you said that you always wanted to be a singer.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it was always in me.
And I think in the hardcore scene, I know this happened with me, and believe me, I've surveyed a lot of singers.
Sure.
And you become a singer because you don't know how to play an instrument. It's a default mode. You might be good with words. You might be a little popular.
Right.
And then you sort of get that position. But the difference with you and some of the other bands in our area, even like Glassjaw or whatever, the singers could actually sing. You were always singing better from the start. Then you add in the fierceness of the band. It sort of was unexpected and just kind of like pushed back when everybody was doing sort of like being a little weird, being a little like out there and dissident. And you guys just came in unapologetically and crushed. And it was, it really was like a feeling like things were changing over. And you got a lot of attention. You did your demos, and then there was the Still 7-inch.
Still 7-inch, yeah. That was a wild time, too. That was crazy. It's hard to think exactly. What I remember, now that you mentioned that, it was a weird thing, because we did the demo, right? And that had some success, and now the band was starting to do shit, so we were doing all right. And then there was the 7-inch, and I guess back then, correct me if I'm wrong, a 7-inch was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was bigger. It was, it was like if you made a 7-inch
100%.
and your own 7-inch, now it's not a split. You're like making a statement. And I think Earth Crisis put out a 7-inch. I think their big Firestorm 7-inch or something like that, right around then or right before it or right after. And I remember Kennedy and the guys being like, "Holy shit, we got to do something really good, Earth Crisis. It's amazing what they're doing out there." It's like, and that was another band that just came out of fucking nowhere. And I remember we picked the songs, we tracked them, and it came out, and it just kind of took. It just went, and it was weird because it was another thing. We wanted it to be great, but we didn't try and write. We had the songs. We didn't try and write great songs. This is what was coming out of us at that time. And we recorded it. What was Kevin Gill, SFT, put up the money and stuff like that. And it was a strange time because we put it out, and I think right around then we might have did that Korn show. Which was,
right.
That was a really weird, big time. Probably one of the biggest moments for the band because with this, whenever the 7-inch came out, it was early. It was like 96 or something, maybe earlier, maybe 95. But Korn was just exploding then too, and they were only doing small venues. And you just started to hear about them bubbling.
1995, just for the record.
Yeah, bubbling under the surface. And we had the 7-inch out that was starting to catch some, fire. And I think at this time we were starting to do the p.w.a.c, the Right Track In, so the band was getting established. And Frank, we were always doing the Roxy. Whatever came, I guess Cariola, the owner there, he liked us or something. Yeah. So anytime a band came through, he would put, no matter who it was, play this show, it'll be good for you guys. We played, and it seemed like every month we played with a different band. It was Machine Head, it was Typo Negative, it was Life of Agony. So now we're like deep in the scene, playing out there. And then a couple of p.w.a.c shows happened with good turnouts, modest. And then all of a sudden we did that fucking show with Korn. We came back to do the p.w.a.c, and I still remember driving. The line was fucking around the building. Yeah. And we were like, what the we didn't even know what the fuck it was.
Right.
We were like, holy shit. And I don't know how many people showed up to the show, but it was like 2,000 people or something. It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah. And I remember Greg Styler was, he was like our tech at the time.
Greg Styler from Disciplinary Action.
Yeah, big part of our early history with that band. To this day, one of my favorite hardcore bands of all time.
I love DA.
For whatever they did or stood for, did or did not stand for, it doesn't matter to me because I really got to know those guys as people. Yep. Crazy fucks, but good, loyal people. And they were probably the first hardcore band I ever really liked. Yeah. And it was because of Styler's voice. His voice to me was sick.
And they're just
Sick.
unapologetic, and I love that. When
Very raw.
bands are trying to feel out what they should be, or they change
those
completely in a
guys.
style, those guys were like, "This is who we are. Go fuck yourself."
I still think, and that's exactly what it was like, I still think they were like one of the most dangerous bands to ever get on a stage.
Yeah.
Because they were all out of their fucking minds. They had their thing. They did their thing. And they didn't, it was just, they just had this intensity about them. And they were a little different. Some of the older hardcore, for me, was a little too positive for me, a little too upbeat.
Yeah.
Some of the earlier stuff had a bigger punk twist to it. And that didn't ever really go with me. For me, it never really clicked with me. But when I heard and saw DA, I was, forget it. That was it. That was just, and those are the moments when you're younger and in the scene and responsibilities are less, that are like the special moments, like going to see DA and being young and excited again out of stuff like that. And but to bring us back to that, I remember when we were at that p.w.a.c, I remember getting on stage, and by then I was still using the little delay pedal with the fucking wires, and we just hit the first note, and a wall of fucking people just came over. Styler, everything was fucking, I don't even think we got through half the song, and we had to stop and put everything together and fucking go, but it was weird feelings to go out, and like I would tell you, it was like that Corn show brought like an entire audience to see us.
It was
really
even
crazy.
happening up and down the East Coast a little bit too, from what I remember playing with you in like Pennsylvania. And I still think you guys even had demos. I'm not sure that the SFT record was out yet.
It probably wasn't. I can't even remember.
I don't think it was, because I remember thinking like, everybody knows your stuff. It was really like handing hand to hand
it was
of a tape.
time then. I'm
sure 25 to Rick to Life sold a bunch of your stuff.
Rick, again, for wherever our relationship went, he was a big part of this band's growth in the beginning. He was the one who got us on that fucking comp. Whatever that, he did it. He called me, "Yo, I got this comp for you. You should get on it. It's gonna be great." We wouldn't have done it if he wasn't like, "Yo, you should get on."
He like breathed it. He was everywhere.
Yeah, he was.
Remember touring, and
everywhere.
he would just show up with like a I don't know, like a whole shop worth of stuff. But that was a distribution network. It in a way it was tough if you were touring trying to make money, and this guy shows up with like 1,000 t-shirts, and you're like, we're trying to live over here. But in hindsight, that's all there was. You needed distributors, and he was a distributor.
And it was different then. That was a distributor. It was weird. It was just different. It was so different then. But it was, whatever. It was what it was.
Just out of curiosity, we're talking about Jim Morrison was a key influence. So when you start, it's like your vocal style is like beyond the Doors. So what was some of the inspirations for you to sing along the way you sang on those first demos?
A lot of it, again, in the early days, all the singing stuff was a heavy influence from the Doors and Jim Morrison. That was like...
And you put your own spin on it.
I put my own spin on it. Maybe I got lucky to put my own spin on it, because some people, they wind up being too much like it, and then it's no good. George can probably agree with this. Being a singer, it's like you're very critical of other singers. Maybe you're not going to say it. You're not going to say it, especially now that I'm older. I couldn't care. It's different now. But when I wasn't a musician, I was a singer. There was something in me that put me to that spot. You know what I mean? I agree with George says that, maybe it's a default thing, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But for me, I never wanted to be a guitar player. I never wanted to be a fucking drummer. I wanted to be a fucking singer. That was me. I could write lyrics. I can do that. That's fucking me, And something, again, about especially the early hardcore, it just wouldn't hit me. It was just something like, the singer's just not doing it for me. So I took a lot of the singing from Morrison, and obviously Phil Anselmo was a very big scream influence on me, and also, believe it or not, Greg Styler from Distant Reaction. And I merged. Those are my influences from the base. The foundation would be the Doors, would be Phil Anselmo, and honestly Greg Styler, that brought this ferociousness that made me be like, that's how I want to sound.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you mention it, those three mixed together with your own style makes perfect sense.
And that was the thing, though, with all the older hardcore bands with the barking and shit. I wanted to hear singing because I still identified so much, and I also would probably have something to do with the way Mike and Matt wrote, that they would do melodic parts, and then they would just connect. I'm gonna sing, and oh, that's cool. And we had these songs that would just, even the early ones, that there was a lot of singing on it, you know. And then slowly, as the band got heavier, we got more aggressive, and then there was more screaming and stuff like that.
And I mean, so you're doing that, you know. You're starting to create. Your whole band is creating their own style. Yeah. You're really creating your own style. A lot of people are paying attention, and then here comes Roadrunner. So
Abrams.
Yeah, you make that signing. You do that. You put out the record. There is this thing when you're in hardcore where you stay in hardcore. Maybe you go metal. Maybe you have one foot in both, and that's not that easy to do. And sometimes hardcore kids want to, you know, it's like a crab in a barrel, like pull you back in. And metal kids aren't sure. Like you guys on Ozfest is very much like someone's like, that's a hardcore band. But then at a hardcore show, someone's like, it's kind of like a metal band.
Right.
So you kind of are starting to move towards bigger shows, which obviously means metal. Roadrunner is a metal label. So talk about that a little bit, just moving up the ranks.
It was difficult. It wasn't easy. It was, you know, when you had that much, I don't know what you want to call it, effect on people, or recognition on a hardcore level, or of a more, maybe a better word would be a local level. Like, we were big. It was weird. Yeah. We were big around here. Like, and then you get out in the real world and you're not so big anymore. Right. You know, and it's like, you know, before we were lucky. We didn't just go cold out onto Ozfest. So we, you know, all right, we signed. We were huge. Nothing can stop us. We're fucking selling out p.w.a.c. We're selling out this. We're doing that. Killing fucking people anywhere we go. And then we get signed. Then we record. The recording, you know, wasn't the easiest process. We recorded, that's another thing. Now you're recording a fucking record. Right. You're not doing a 3-song demo out of fucking Legend Studios. You know?
A little time.
Now, a little bit more money. Yeah, there's a little more money involved now. You're going away to some studio. And I remember we did the Legend demo. We fucking ripped it. And that demo sounds amazing. In some ways, it sounds better than the first record. So now we had some of our old demo songs. We had some new songs. And now we're up in Gloucester, Massachusetts, recording the record. And we had all this money coming at us. We weren't rich, but here we are. We signed a fucking big record deal, and you know, we're getting all these fucking free gear from everybody, and drum sets, and guitar amps, and vocal lessons, and all sorts of shit. We're in a mansion up there in Gloucester, and I'll never forget the bunch of gear just showed up at the place to record. It's day one, and Brendan unpacks all the drums. He starts hitting them. He just has this look in his face like, like you could tell he wasn't used to it. Yeah. So right away it was like, and then Kennedy, they had these VHT heads, and they turned them on. You know, they were okay, but again, they were like, oh shit, these are new, these are sick. But I could still remember Brendan like hitting the toms and being like, he's neurotic anyway. But right away I was like, this is weird. And it proved to be, now we're with a producer. For better or for worse, how good he is or not, he's hearing it. We're new. We got a record label. We got Ray Capo involved, and everybody's like, "Yeah, it should sound like this. It should sound like that."
Oh, that's right. You were on Super Soul, which was Ray Capo.
We only met him like once or twice. I don't know how much he got paid for us, but we barely saw him. But anyway, that's the business, right? So this I would never do again. Now we start cutting the vocals, and everybody's in the control room shouting every time they hit that click back button. No, you got to do it like you didn't do it like no. And you hear like 5 voices, and it's fucking freaking me out, man. And I cannot get takes off the ground. I'm having like a rough go, and every time they hit that button, it's like you hear 5 fucking voices. You didn't do it like that. You did it like this on the demo. No, just try it like that.
People from the label?
No, this is my band. They're the worst fucking critics. And
just for the record, I'm a singer, Sam is a singer, and that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I got like a nervous feeling when you just said that. Like,
we were just talking about how we hate recording, and how, you know, when you're in the studio, it's up to you to basically kill. Otherwise, the recording's just going to suck.
And a lot of pressure goes on the singer for that, and we can get into that later. But in the beginning, it's all new, and it's all new. You're away from home. This is before we did any touring, so we're out there, and it's going painfully slow. And I just remember I just could not get vocal takes off. We had a couple friends come up, they getting all bonked out and partying, like, yeah. And I was,
sounds great, too.
you know, but I couldn't. Again, I was such a victim of my voice that I wouldn't drink, or I barely drank, barely did anything, which was worse because I couldn't fucking relax. You know, I was getting psyched out. And sure enough, that session ended. We got some stuff done, and me and Kennedy actually went back up for like another month to another studio that just was a modest house, probably similar to this, some little town up in Massachusetts, and all its claim to fame, it had this crazy sick tube mic, and that was like the guy built the studio around that microphone, and I finished all the vocals up in that studio. And you know, fast forward through that, the mix and everything, we were never really happy with that record. The material was there, but the sound, we were just like, this does not sound the way we want it to sound. So anyway, warming up. Now we were lucky enough, Madball took us out on a tour. Another, I don't need to say it, but another phenomenal band. Another band that really grasped my attention early on. But they took us out on a decent run, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, something pretty big. And that went out to like the Midwest and then back, but it was a good break-in. And I still remember talking to Freddie, who's already a fucking veteran by then.
Yeah.
Like the second or third show in, we're partying, getting a little loose, you know, and I was just like, how do you... I said to him, like, how do you do it, man? How do you do it every night? You know, I haven't done these. That's another thing. Now you're out on the road, you're doing show. You're not just doing one show a month. You're doing them every night. You know what I mean? I remember going up to him, how do you do it every day? You know, I'm a little nervous. He's like, don't worry about it. Just get up and do your thing.
Yeah.
That was it. Spoken, and that was it. Spoken from him. And it's funny because, you know, looking back, all the years that I done, you know, all the years I was out there, and I did tons of fucking shows for years and years and years. And I've only lost my voice maybe twice. One of them was at Sparks on Long Island.
Yeah.
I don't know if I came off some bronchitis thing. I'm probably going too far back. And then we did 2 shows in one day once. We did some weird show. I think it might have been up here in the Bronx in some parking lot. And then we did the bike exchange that night, and we fucking partied the whole way up and oh my God. The next day I had to get out and do a show at the Roxy, and I got out just singing. That was it.
Isn't that funny? You could remember. You could sort of forget, be like, oh yeah, we played with Korn, but you will remember the 2 times you lost your voice. But I'm glad you brought that up because you kind of breezed past it. Everybody gets equipment. There's some money and vocal lessons, and you went to Don Lawrence.
I went to a number of vocal, but he was the first one.
The first one, because I had gone to him as well, and he's. You know, just so people understand what we're talking about, Don Lawrence, there was an article, I was looking him up, where he helped Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl.
Big pop stuff, yeah.
Back then, when we went, it was, you know, Sebastian Bach, John Bon Jovi, but also Chaka from Burn, Walter from Quicksand, Lou from Sick of It All. And I remember being in a session with Don Lawrence with Josh DeMarco, which is your guitarist now, and my guitarist, and back then in Day in the Life. And we actually asked Don Lawrence, we were like, how do you scream like Tim from V.O.D? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, he doesn't remember. So we're like, hold on. We grab the CD. He puts it on, and he's listening to it. He's listening to Element. And he's like finding a note on a piano. And he's like, oh, that's a natural thing. Like, you can either do that or you can't. So I was like, I guess I can't. But
that's a cool story.
You always warmed up. From what I remember, do you still warm up? Is that still a thing for you?
It depends on where it's at, but it's always better if I do warm up. That's for sure, and I always try to warm up. Yes,
because you're at a point now, and I want to get back to our timeline, but just as an asterisk to what we're talking about, because this was heavily part of what I wanted to do with your interview, is talk about your voice and how you do it. Your voice is better now, which doesn't often happen with the type of music that you do. It's easy to script your voice. There's, you know, years of abuse and drinking or whatever it is. And your voice is better now. You said you had a few vocal instructors. Did you just take from each one? How do you keep it so strong?
Each one. Don Lawrence was definitely instrumental, and the couple that I went to were different types of teachers, but Don Lawrence was a good one. He's probably the one I went to the most, and then there was this other one, Ron Anderson. He's some big shot out in California that the Warner Brothers people turned me on to. He did like Chris Cornell, he did Axl, he did the kid from Avenged Sevenfold, he did everybody under the sun, if you could think about it. He did tons of people. David Draymond from Disturbed, I remember that because we were on the same tour, and he found out I was taking lessons from him. He's like, started talking to me about it and shit. But just a great teacher, and he was more. Don Lawrence is more of almost like a pop. Yeah, you know, he would teach more from that angle, and this guy was more from like a body approach, more from a rock and roll approach. And Don Lawrence would teach you to sing big and powerful.
Yeah, you get up over
big
it.
And powerful. Yeah, that was his whole thing, pushing it out the back of your head, which was great, and it really learned a lot from him. But this guy was, that's all right. This guy was more about small and control, and which is very interesting. And you know, you can almost see the singers out there that are trained from these two guys, because they're pretty big, both of them. Don might be, they're both really big. Like Don Lawrence is a big name, and obviously Ron Anderson's a big name. And then there was that other girl, I can't remember her fucking name right now.
Sam went to him.
I went to Melissa Cross.
Yeah, Melissa Cross. I went to her, I think twice. Great. I just didn't continue on with her. But she was good, and she's got a lot of people under her belt, too.
Yeah, like I would go there and see, like, Randy from Lamb of God. I remember she would take, like, whenever I was doing the exercises wrong, she would make me put a pencil in my mouth. I would, like, have to, like, sing over it. I still have the warm-up stuff that I got before shows. Like, half the time I do it, the other half I don't. But overall, she was great, man. Really helped me out, you know?
So, I mean, that's, you know, you move from doing that. I mean, I don't know if we're skipping too much here, but I'm thinking of the Imprint record, because you're talking about how you were unsatisfied with that record, the first record, which is self-titled, I would imagine.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
I love that record.
Yeah.
But it's
good
a slicker
record.
production.
It wasn't so much. It just didn't come out the way we wanted it. And again, we were all really young, so it's different. My voice is totally different then too.
Right.
You know, but if you want to skip ahead to Imprint, that's fine, because we can. We did Ozfest again, so we I'll try and Madball took us out for a little while, so now we're getting out on the road, right? And then Downset took us out, so that was the first full U.S. tour, and that was Downset and Earth Crisis. So there were hardcore kids there, there were metal kids there, and that was the first time on that tour that we played California. That was a pretty cool feeling, and I think we played in Oakland, and we just fucking destroyed it. It was weird because we're playing and you looked over to your left, and one of the guys from Rancid was there checking us out and stuff, and it was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. And we were selling tons of fucking merch on those shows. I know, we were killing it. Those were really good. Those were successful shows. I think we came off that tour or whatever, and we played some big fucking club in the city, and Sick of It All came down, the whole band. This is, again, we're still young.
Right.
Everybody's young, and we're getting out there. Now the shows are really big, and we're getting on the national circuit, and we're doing well, so, you know, the head's kind of big, and things are going good. I can't remember the name of this fucking club, but it was a big one, and Sick of It All came down. We knew they were coming. They wanted to see us. They wanted to see what it was about. And I remember after the show, it was definitely Pete. Maybe it was Armand. Came up to me afterwards, you know, pulled me aside. So, hey, we really like you guys. You guys are great. How would you like to come to Europe with us?
Whoa.
Exactly. Like, holy shit. Sure, we'll go. Yeah, it was great. So,
yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So that was a cool
See if Brendan
moment.
Wants to go to Europe.
Yeah. No, Brendan was all gung ho back then. He was good to go. But so we went on, and that was a full on fucking Euro tour with them, and then went everywhere. We were gone for like a month and a half, and we did that. Some of the shows were good. Some of them, you know, European fans are very tough. Yeah. You know, especially hardcore. Now we're talking early 90s. It's not like it is now. There was like one festival that we knew of. It'd be the Download Festival.
And you're opening for Sick of It All. They're there for Sick of It All. It's like opening up for Slayer.
Yeah.
Or the Rolling Stones.
Yeah,
it's like...
So it was very hard. So some places we ripped it. Other places it was bad. People would just be standing at us. The one that stands out in my head, you know, it was weird. Then we were trying all sorts, you know, playing the songs, and for some reason that night I felt like not wearing shoes out on the fucking stage.
Like Morrison,
barefoot. Yeah, I guess. Or Henry Rollins. I don't know. But we go out, and it's Cologne, Germany. big, what seems like now. They had all different types of shows out there. The Sick of It All had small club shows, and they had bigger shows. And this was one of their bigger ones. It's probably 1,000-seater. It was packed. And not one, we came out ripping it. Between every song, you can hear a fucking pin drop. Like, nobody was into it. And the one thing somebody said, your feet stink. Your feet stink. That was tough.
I had a question for you. So you go from playing the local shows out on, let's say, Long Island, where people are climbing on top of each other, pylons, mic time. Then you go out and play these bigger shows where there's like a barrier. Definitely got to be different, right?
It's a lot different, and it's a lot harder, even to this day. You know, anybody sees a barrier, like, fuck. You know, at least I do. It's going to be that much harder. But to reach the audience, and depending on what type of show you're looking to do, you know, I like to pull people in and get that intensity off the crowd. And Ozfest basically broke us in for that, because Ozfest was all fucking barricades. It was outside in the fucking parking lot, shitty sound system. We were the only idiot fucking band to not bring their own sound guy. And that's an answer to a lot of your questions as a singer. Anyway, we had our friend Colin Schiller running sound for us at the Ozfest. You know how stupid that is?
Yeah.
That's like not a make or break tour, but that tour at that junction in that area of time can really do a lot for a band. And for, you know, a lot of things, you know, what I learned in this business, it's not all how good you are, or how good you sound, or how good you look, or whatever you do good. It's everything around you that has to be good too. And if it's not, you're not going there. You're going someplace. You're gonna go sideways. You're gonna do this up down. You're not gonna go where you want to go.
If everybody else has a sound guy, if everybody else has lights, if everybody else has these things, and you go on before them,
lights you can go either way because it's outside, but sound is.
We just throw money at the lighting guys.
Yeah, $50 or whatever.
But you come from the hardcore world. It's like, just give us a van, give us a t-shirt guy, we're fine.
Yeah, but then you get out in the real world, and it ain't like that.
If you look at a band like Hatebreed, and Hatebreed was like that band that somehow went through that Ozfest trajectory.
Hatebreed is a fucking calculated business. Jamie Joster is where he is because he is very smart and good, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. He knew from day one how to sell that band. And they were also very good at what they did. Whatever music they play very, very well. And that's that name alone, put that name on a t-shirt, that sound translates.
I listened to his podcast, and I'm not the biggest Hatebreed fan, but listening to the podcast makes me love the guy. It's like you said, he's super smart. Definitely all about his business. Today I was listening to him, and he actually mentioned you. I think he wants you on a song, so expect a phone call.
You gotta start thinking of numbers.
Right.
Oh, it's a business, Jamie?
Yeah.
You gotta pay me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one thing that struck me about him, and I appreciate that fully.
No, it's a fact.
A lot of people, again, we think of coming from hardcore and punk rock, to get that and commerce in the same place. It's tough. It's not hard. The way you think of things. Jamie didn't have a problem with it. Like he just.
Jamie was booking shows kind of like how Artie did from the beginning. Like, he was very. I can't say enough good about Jamie because I've seen him on the other side as a person. Really nice guy. Look in the eye. Cool dude. But he's very good. He made this his life. It's very hard to make this your life. You can't. You got bills. You go bullshit. You know. He made it his life, and it's not easy.
He even pushed new bands, like from the Headbangers Ball gig, continuously pushes new music. He wants like heavy music to win. Gotta love that.
And one thing, too, I'll say about your band that I don't think a lot of people know, I've never really heard it talked about too much, and maybe even the opposite, but as you guys were touring, even on that first record, and you guys were coming around, going around and around, and even after tour support ends and you're still going out, you took bands from Long Island out.
Yeah.
And other bands are known for that, like Sick of It All, or what everybody knows. But you took out one of my bands. I know you took out Millhouse, even if it's a couple of days, you know. But you took my band with no record for like, it felt like a month.
Yeah.
And then another 2 weeks at another time. Yeah. But just other bands here and there, when you could hook someone up, everybody thinks you start getting bigger that you can just hook everyone up, but they don't realize you're trying to get on bigger tours, and there's a whole thing that people don't understand. But you still did that thing where you could try and reach out and grab a couple bands and put them on a weekend.
I've always tried, even with my other band, with Blood Simple, especially as I got older. You know, when you get your feet back on the ground and stuff like that, any chance I get, I would always try and hook somebody up.
Yeah.
So why not? That's what I would always. I'd have these arguments with various band members.
Right.
They would maybe unnamed, not naming names. Maybe they want to pull a political move.
Yeah.
Or they want a personal favor, or their girlfriend's fucking cousin's fucking bullshit band, whatever it is. But I would always try and always like, why not? Is it really hard to just put them on the bill? You're not gonna fucking care either way.
Right.
Just hook them up. We're doing okay right now. Let them get in front of some people.
Right.
That was my philosophy. You know.
Right.
Exposure's huge.
Yeah.
Exposure's huge, and also it's just the payback. Been there, done that, and now I'm in the position where I can actually help somebody out, even if it's only 1,000 people you're playing in front of. I do my best to put somebody on that, you know, strikes an interest in me.
Something related yet completely unrelated. When I first started doing this podcast stuff, I would pull my hair out every 10 minutes. And some stuff I asked, some stuff people told me, other stuff it took me forever to find out. But now that I know how to do all this shit, someone hit me up the other day that I never even met through a friend. I'm like, put him on the phone. I just told him, I'm like, you know what? I know how to do this now, so I'm telling all you motherfuckers. Because the amount of time and hair I was going to yank out when I couldn't figure out how to email someone, it's a great feeling I could share now.
Lose a podcast?
We
did.
Not yet.
We did.
There's always tonight.
Don't say that.
Don't do it. We had Joey Z from Life of Agony, and it was hard to get him, and it went well, and we lost it. Something happened. Called him back to try and do it again. No, we couldn't get him. We couldn't get him again.
Well, speaking of your podcast, you had a podcast.
Yeah.
What happened? Where is it?
Well, like I said before, it's out there in the fucking universe somewhere. But it was strange. Yeah, we started it. It was just I remember. I won't spend too much time on it because there's probably other stuff to talk about. But it was just. I was out one day and I just Fleisch, the bass player of V.O.D, very funny guy.
One of the funniest guys I've
very
ever met
funny.
in my life.
And I just remember texting him one day, and this one podcast was definitely starting to come out, but not many people had it. And I was just like, dude, with my attitude and your fucking jokes, we can have a podcast and it'll be fucking good.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And I don't remember who we got first. I think one of our earliest members was the original Faith No More guy who just passed away. Chuck.
Chuck Mosley.
We had him. He might have been one of the first, but it was just something fun we did. Me and Fleisch got together, and at that time, V.O.D was slow. There was no more Blood Simple, so it was just a pocket. And I like to stay creative, whether it's building stuff or playing guitar or just writing and stuff like that. But that at that point was filling that void. Me and Fleisch would get together just like this in his basement or my basement. Now we'd get a guest, and then we'd get maybe a couple of side things to talk about, and that's how we'd build it. And it was kind of just fun. We did it on location sometimes. We did a couple of them out east at my house out there. We'd get everybody together, have a nice time and stuff like that. It was cool. But then we were getting places. We were getting some serious guests, but then V.O.D got big. We started to get busy, and that was it. We just stopped, and we just haven't started again.
Yeah, you can't do everything.
Dead bloated, man.
Dead bloated.
Dead bloated Morrison. That's my alter ego. That's what that is. That's Fleischman who named it. But that's my alter ego, Fleisch. Fleisch named that for me in the more wilder days.
Yeah, that's an interesting nickname. I said, because I never met you, maybe he hates Jim Morrison?
No.
Then I came here and I see that flyer and it's like...
No.
It's like, is it Dead Kennedys?
Yeah.
Do you want to jump to Imprint?
Yeah, so touring all over the place, you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then time for a new record.
Yep, as the bottom always drops out. We were in... I think we ended that touring cycle. It was a sick touring cycle. We did a lot. And
you guys toured
in
forever.
Japan. Yeah, we toured forever. The record did what it did. It did a lot for back then for a hardcore band. Fuck. And we ended that one in Japan. I think that was the last touring thing on that. Yeah, we came home, went into the label. They said, all right, guys, tour support's out. You can go do some shows on your own if you want, or we want you to make another record. So what do you want to do? Oh, we wanted to make another record. And 98, living high on the wave. Not too many responsibilities then, so all we fucking did, we had a studio. This fucking gas We had a studio in Long Beach, Long Island, and then we went every single solitary day at like 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whatever it is, and wrote the record. And it was a cool experience because again, no one had jobs then. We were living off the lam, if you would.
Right.
Down in Long Beach, a shitty little studio, nothing special, but every single day, everybody came down. It's interesting because Ozfest taught us a lot of things. Definitely became a better band through playing with these types of bands because a lot of those bands, I know we already talked about it, hardcore band, your attitude is you're going to kill everybody, everybody's posers, it's all fake. Get on these fucking shows, these bands are sick.
Right.
Even if they're bad, they're good.
Right.
They sound good. They're tight.
Yeah, I've always said
They're
that.
well-versed. They don't fuck around. And I'm talking about the side stage.
Yeah.
Not even talking. The main stage is a whole nother animal. But
Right.
the side, it was Downset, who we already knew was good. It was Cold Chamber. It was Neurosis. Like these bands, you know. And Cold Chamber was that band that just, you wanted to be like, but they came out and killed it every night.
I know,
even
my
when
band
they sucked.
Toured with them for
you know.
months, and we had the same
Yeah.
thing. We were like, this is like kind of easy or whatever. And you're like, but the good thing is their fans never saw a band like V.O.D, I'm sure.
Right.
So then that was, you were probably able to reach out to kids that never saw anything like that.
Absolutely.
But they were phenomenal.
You couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
That band is just a band that at that point in time was unstoppable. They couldn't do any wrong. And so we got off that tour, a little dirt in our eye. You know, we did well, but you know, we got shown up sometimes, and we wanted to be a better band. And the big thing, we wanted to be a heavier band.
Is that what influenced Imprint?
Absolutely. Well, not even heavier, ferocious. Like we wanted to just we were angry because we did all these tourings, and maybe we felt undercut or whatever it was. We wanted this. Yeah, we wanted to be ferocious though, and that was the whole thing. Redline everything, heavy as fuck, and the rate that those songs were cranked out. I'm telling you, we had a song every 2 days. We had a song done. Boom, boom, boom. And one of the biggest triumphant moments for that, we were kind of finishing it up. They were still writing, and Dave Sardi got picked to produce, which was a big deal. And he started to come down, and he would sit in the studio. And it came down, like, we did like 1 week, and he would come down, he'd sit there, and be like, that one's good. That one's good. Nope, don't touch anything with that. Leave it just like that. Don't. And we're like, what the fuck?
When does that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
He's like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Nope. Don't. And then there was this one, maybe you should do that. And then, you know, we're winding it down. I was like, we need a fucking guest. This is obviously a big moment. We need a guest vocalist. We need I'm saying to myself, we need to get talking to Kennedy. Like, we need something special on this record. I'm like, I'm gonna ask Phil. He's like, no way. I'm like, let's just fucking, what the fuck? Let's just ask and see what happens. Because at that point, we were pretty tight, and we did Ozfest together. We hung out a lot, and he liked V.O.D for whatever reason. And I called him up. Hey, dude, we got this record. You know, it's coming out good. It's heavy. Would you fucking sing on it? What? He said, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. I'm like, well, what do you want us to do? He's like, well, it'd be easier if you recorded, you know, the vocals down here. I'm like, I'll bring it right to your house. I'm coming down. Right. And that's how it happened. It's crazy. And so we recorded everything, and I did the singing parts for that song, By the River, up here. And then I flew down, and they set us all up in, like, his studio, like, where he's, I guess probably where he does the down shit, like, where he's comfortable. Yeah. And we went in on a little 3-day adventure. It was an awesome time. Because by then, we were tight. We hung out a lot on Ozfest. I went down, hung out with him on Halloween at his house.
Just for the record, when Tim said, speaking about it, you had a smirk, like a knowing smile, thinking about those 3-day adventure of things we'll never get to know about. I have a feeling.
It was not as exciting as you'd think, but it was a very cool time, because there were times that I hung out with that guy. It was fucking crazy, like what you're thinking. And then there was other times where, like that time when we went to record, it was mellow. We chilled, we hung out, we ate some good food, and then I flew in one day. And we partied up a little bit that night, jammed a little bit. He has like this little campfire, playing acoustic songs with him and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. And the next day, you know, he wakes up, God knows what time, we wake up and we go to the studio. So now it's time. Here we go. And I didn't do any of my scream parts. So now he's going to do his scream parts. I'm going to do mine, or vice versa. And we're talking about how do you want to do it. You know, he had his, that was pretty crazy too. I went down the night before and we're hanging out and he's like, oh man, you want to hear my ideas? I'm like, yeah, all right, sure. He just fucking turns the song up on his stereo and just starts screaming it right there. No microphones, nothing. Right. I was like, holy shit. This is
that'll
up.
work.
Yeah, what are you going to say, you know? Oh, yeah, that's great. Oh, it sucks. Do it again. Anyway, so I go in. My voice is opened up now because I just did the whole record. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not really drinking. My voice was ripping. I go down there, I do my shit in 2 takes. Done, front to back. And now it's his turn. And he records differently. I'm not going to disclose how he records because that's his thing. But he doesn't do it. I was in the other room, standard setup, you know. Blew my shit out. He's just like, holy shit, man. And then he starts, and I'm just sitting there listening. And I'm like, oh, fuck, his voice is not sounding good. His voice sounds fucked up. Fuck. And he's doing a couple of takes. I'm just like, fuck, his voice does not sound good. What the fuck?
But you're like, sounds good,
Phil.
Phil.
Well, no, what happened? I'm just sitting there, and I guess whatever happened, he warmed up. And once he warmed up, it was all good. And another huge moment for me. So we did the shit that day. We recorded, went back to his house, got all, you know, fucked up and stuff. And he's like, you want to hear it? I'm like, yeah. He fucking blasts it on his fucking stereo, sitting kind of like a setup like this. We're just jamming to the fucking track, and it sounds sick. And he's like singing the fucking parts, and it sounded fucking amazing.
Did you guys ever get to do that live? Did he ever?
No, not with him. I'm sure if it worked out, I would probably be able to figure it out. But no. But I had Brian from Overcast, Shadows Fall. He came out and did his parts once, and then which was cool. And then we always do the tail end of it. Mm-hmm. And we do that at a lot of our live shows, which is pretty cool.
Was that like super satisfying? Because like there you are, you know?
That's like a pinnacle point. Yeah. You don't get, that was one of the highest points of my V.O.D. career. And I'd say for the band in general, you know? And I remember bringing it into the record label and them fucking bringing it in, and then we're listening to it now with them, and their fucking mouths dropped. They couldn't fucking believe it. This is Phil Anselmo prime.
Right.
This is coming right out of Southern. This guy's still a super fucking star.
Right.
Not doing guest vocals on much stuff.
I can't think of anything else that he did guest vocals on.
And I've heard a lot of stuff that he has done. He put effort into that track. Mm-hmm. And I can say that because I'm a fan. I know his shit. And he put effort into that track, which for him is a lot, you know. Mm-hmm. What does he have to do? He doesn't have to do anything, you know. So, and he did that all for $1. That was the deal, because there had to be some sort of paperwork exchanged. He did it for $1.
Yeah, I just got my contract from Glassjaw waiver. I did a part on their record. And it was for the grand total of. I'm waiting for my $1 check, by the way.
Get on Daryl.
We just had the conversation. On the way.
Send it over.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a cool moment. So that would pretty much wrap up the imprint recording. Then we went out on the road. The band was still doing pretty damn well at that point. We did a couple. I think we did Sepultura. We did some big tours here. We went to Japan. We did the whole Pacific Rim. We did Australia, Japan, New Zealand. Like, we were there for like 2 months. That was a lot. I think we were this is where the bottom started to get a little weird. Is we had a sold out, at least 4 dates sold out on a small mini tour in the UK with us and a band called Iron Monkey. Remember them? They were a sick band, kind of a rip off of I Hate God, but not really. And the Roadrunner wouldn't give us the money to go. So that's when things started to go south with Roadrunner.
But they were totally behind the imprint record?
They were behind it to a point, you know, just like any other label. You know, we would have wanted to maybe do some more touring. You know, they put us out. We did Sepultura. We did a couple other ones off of that. I can't really remember off of that. We did the whole Pacific Rim thing. That was big. That was a long cycle over there. And then, like I said, we had a nice tour lined up in the UK, and they wouldn't give us the money for it. So that was a disappointment.
And that ended your touring for that record mostly?
Yeah, they wanted. That was another point where they're like, all right, you guys, this was great, but we want you guys to do another record. And then, you know, we weren't really into that, right. You know, and this is when we started to think maybe Roadrunner wasn't the right label for us.
Right.
So we still had a couple of records to fulfill the contract, and Kennedy and Baumbach came up with this brainiac thought to go in there. Because now at this point we're like, all right, we're going to get off the label. We're going to try and get off. Mm-hmm. They went in with this whole spiel of how you guys are going to give us the money for the next demo and for the next record, which was a decent amount of money. It's your third record now.
Right.
And we're going to give you a fucking 4-track of the most hardcore songs you ever heard. Or you can let us go right now. And they let us go.
It worked?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
I did not expect that.
Yeah, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to give us a significant amount of money. We were going to give them a 4-track record in return of like the most PC hardcore shit you can ever hear.
Right.
And they didn't want no part of that. So instead of spending the money, they let us go. And then I wasn't at that meeting. It was Kennedy and Bambeck, and they still, Monty Khan, who was a big A&R guy over there, was like, do not let these guys go. Something's fucked up here. Don't let them go. But they let us go. So, for better or for worse, because as time went on, maybe it wasn't such a good move. But V.O.D. was never the best business savvy band, unfortunately.
Name me a band that is.
Yeah,
I mean, only besides Hatebreed.
Yeah, exactly. We weren't the best with the business stuff, but that brought us. I don't know what you guys want to get into now, but that was Imprint. And that brought us into like the go-kart era where we did For the Bleeders, which was another unique experience. So now we kind of took a break, not really a break, but we did Imprint, and then we weren't really touring much anymore. You know, at that point, we weren't going out on some sick tour or anything like that. And we were doing we had some studio out in Belmore, and we didn't want to go away altogether. So now we're off of Roadrunner. We're still doing shows here and there, and we still had a decent fan base.
Yeah.
So we knew we were gonna probably get to a different label eventually, but we didn't know when. So we're like, let's jam, let's feel it out. We wrote a couple songs, and Go-Kart approached us. You know, we want to reissue one of I don't even know what's on that record. I think that's the demo, right?
You have
Demo on the 7-inch or something.
Did
like
you have the Bad Brains cover on there? Is
I don't know if the cover's on that. It's probably the cover's on
No?
something else. Soulcraft. I can't remember where the hell that wound up. That was on a 7-inch. That was on Resurrecting Reality. That was like two demos. I don't know if Roadrunner put that out. Roadrunner might have did that, but that was Soulcraft and like 2 other demo songs put out.
Just so you know, it's not on Wikipedia.
Oh,
so
really?
we better edit that shit.
Maybe they don't want to fucking remember that.
But I remember For the Bleeders coming out, and it was just like you said, demos and stuff.
Demo stuff, and had 3 new songs on it, which to me was some of my favorite songs that V.O.D. ever recorded. Interesting Sessions. We were recording at Big Blue Meanie in Jersey. Wasn't too much pressure. Now we're off Roadrunner. The big tours are over. Still partying it up, so things are kind of loose, you know, around, and not too much responsibility. So it's still kind of a fun time, you know.
Right.
We're off the road, got some money in our pockets, living on Long Island, and we're gonna record the demos, which that's not a big deal, you know. But the songs, For the Bleeders was an old song that we used to do way back in the day that we kind of slowed down. Matt did some cool thing to it, and I got to sing more singing, which I always like to do. And it was a fun, sleazy track in my mind. And then Adelaide was a really good song that we wrote. And then that song In the Room, which is one of my favorites, but those guys never want to play it live. But I thought that was a really cool song.
Tim, you're the singer. Put your foot down.
Yeah.
You let them know what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess in the perfect world. But those songs were cool, and they were written really, really quickly. It wasn't like we didn't care about them, but we just wanted to kind of round out. We didn't want to just do demo stuff, and we kind of wrote them really quickly. But they came out really good, but raw. And a lot of the fans really grabbed onto those tracks for some reason. For the Bleeders and Adelaide specifically. In the Room, whatever. But and we started to play, when we played those songs live, kids went fucking berserk. And that, you know, at least by V.O.D. standards, you know, from early days all the way up to later in the career, the telltale of a good song is when you bust it out live, and to see what the crowd does. At least that's how we gauge a good song. You know, that is blurred lines here or there, but on main terms, what's the crowd do? The crowd go fucking bananas when it's not even recorded and they're going fucking crazy. That to us was a good song, you know. And For the Bleeders and Adelaide in particular, people went fucking apeshit when we played that song. I don't know why. Maybe it just, you know, kids liked it. I don't know, but that was a cool moment.
Yeah, so I guess you guys put that out to bridge the gap, and that was the same year that the NYHC documentary came out.
I don't know. Did it come out? I know it came out, but yeah, I think we. Which one?
I think
the one with Frank Pavich.
It was earlier than that. No,
I thought it was 99. The one with Rick to Life on the cover.
Because the Frank Pavich documentary, it might have came out then, but I just remember we did something and it took forever for it to finally come out.
That's it.
Yeah. Early. I think Kennedy's.
That's why it came out later,
but or something. Yeah,
the footage was old.
Yeah,
that's why it's confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have no idea why it came out that late.
Budgets. It's all right. Yeah, but that was a long time coming. I don't really know much about it. It was so long ago. It was. We like I said, he recorded that footage so early, and then so much time transpired. But it was a cool thing.
But it cemented you as part of New York hardcore.
Yeah, which was crazy, being a Long Island band.
Yeah,
and to flashback a little more, you could definitely attest to this. Early days, it was very hard for a band. You played Long Island. Long Island had its own little scene, and it was hard just to get into the Long Island scene. But now we're in it. And we're doing really well. It's even harder now. You try to break into the New York City scene. Very intimidating, very weird. And we did the Bond Street a couple times.
Yep.
We did the Wetlands. We started to make a name for ourselves. But there was one show in particular. I don't know if I was going to the show we were playing, but it was the Wetlands. The Wetlands was always a great place to play.
It's great.
And I remember sneaking in, me and my friend Davis, who I'm sure you remember.
Davis,
a good friend of mine, rest in peace. We used to always get 40s, and we would be playing. Dave's band sometimes would play here and there, but we would go around the corner, get 40s, and look up at the Twin Towers and drinking fucking 40s, looking at Twin Towers. Hey, it's time to play. Get in, go in the side door. And I remember one time, similar thing, and I couldn't get in. What's going on? Came around the side door, and it was Rabies was working the door, and he looked at me. He's like, "You're in the family now. Come on, get in." Big moment.
Wow.
Guy recognized me and even said that. You're in the family now. Come on in.
And when you're coming on me, you tell me what's going on, and holding your head up.
Welcome to the family. That's awesome.
And I think that was kind of the thing, that you're a Long Island band, you play Long Island, it's kind of insular, you get your fans. Then when you get into Manhattan, your fans, hopefully, the people that like you sort of follow you in, but that transition that you really want to make is that you play Manhattan and people are coming from Brooklyn and Queens and maybe Jersey or whatever, and that's what happened with you guys, that you weren't just a Long Island band anymore.
I think a lot of that was the touring we did, especially. There was also a lot of stuff was going on in Jersey then too, so a lot of people came over from there, as well, that would always grow it. And V.O.D. was pretty fortunate, especially around, like we talked about Imprint before. They did all these fucking sound scan things back in the day. We always did, needless to say, extremely well in the Northeast. And Boston was a really big market for us. Jersey was big, and upstate New York, all the way up to Maine, down to D.C., we did really, really well in. So that would always help too, bringing kids in and stuff like that. And it's weird because I don't know what it's like. Back then that was really, really hard to do, and it kind of just did itself. We just put in the work. The biggest difference, I guess, was that we were granted the opportunities to be able to actually go out and do that kind of stuff, and that's what helped us, and that's what put us where we were, and it wasn't easy. We did the best we could, and we did pretty damn good, by many people's standards. So it was
like
cool.
you said, you put in the work, and I'm always interested in thinking of, like, what do you take from hardcore and punk rock that maybe some other scenes, maybe some of the other bands that you play with that are even bigger don't necessarily have. And there is a work ethic and a do-it-yourself ethic, and in some ways, if you don't pay your dues, you feel a little weird about it.
Right.
So here you are grinding out, being able to play a basement with no PA, like, and killing it. So by the time you get to the where you can have inward monitors and an inward monitor guy, you're supposed to be there. And your band is good, so that whole thing is actually the reason why. It's like, opportunity meets, your work ethic.
Right.
And here you are.
And that's, we got lucky with that. Those stars, aligned. And it was a lot, like we said, it was a lot of work. And from playing, Ray's Basement.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say before.
Oh, dude, I forgot to bring it. I have a picture of me and you standing in Ray's basement,
really?
Looking at Styler.
Oh,
singing.
wow.
I forgot to bring it.
That's crazy.
That might have to go on the
that's
cover
put
of
it
the
on
episode.
there. It was crazy because you're like a big fish in a little sea then.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take those steps that you break out even further. Like those shows are crazy bar standards. And then you break out and now you're in the city and you're selling out the wetlands or something. Or you're doing really well at Coney Island High or something.
Right.
And then you break out a little further and maybe you're doing the Birch Hill in Jersey and you're starting to sell that freaking place out. And you're going up to Boston and you're selling places like that out. It was a pretty cool feeling. And it was nuts. It was nuts.
So it's like, I don't want to be corny,
Yeah.
but it is Bliss to Devastation.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk about that. TVT,
Uh-huh.
things are good. Now things are down. Then you meet up with TVT. How did that connection?
I think that was kind of like a natural thing. Again, V.O.D. was still a pretty big name then. And even though we were kind of quiet, we did the Bleeders thing. And we were still out there rehearsing and writing, and we were doing. It was weird because I guess we felt like what we did enough, and we wanted, especially Matt and Fleisch wanted to change the sound up a little bit. It was a very dangerous move.
Always, definitely.
But it felt right. We doing it. It wasn't like we hated it. At least again, they started bringing in different styles of music, and it was still heavy. But it was different, but we all liked it. We were enjoying, at this point, you got to, especially with music, you got to stay interested. What are you doing it for then?
Of course.
And at that point, we felt like we wanted to try something else. We're just writing for ourselves now anyway. So we started writing stuff. We put together a couple of songs, and we started demoing them out. And somehow, I don't know if you guys were already on the label, right? So
Day and Life was on building TVT. We were on a subsidiary,
Right.
and then at one point, they were trying to put us onto TVT proper because building was dropped, but they
Right.
wanted to keep us. And so it was Sean Roberts.
Yeah, of course.
That was your A&R
That's
guy?
what I'm saying. It was
he
almost,
always just loved you guys. And
well,
it was
that's what I think. It was kind of a no-brainer. Like he knew we were free now. And we were writing again. I got to be honest. I can't remember exactly what but I think it was like kind of a no-brainer. Like he knew who we were. When the songs got to a certain point, he listened to them and he was into it. And what the fuck is that? What's the college festival? The people
CMJ.
Yes, CMJ. It's a lot bigger now, I think, than it was then. But we got offered to play CMJ, and by then we already knew we were signed to TVT. So that was the big coming out party that Roberts put on for us. It was a weird ass venue, Bat Cave or something. I don't know what the fuck it was called, but it was in the city. And we played it. It was the CMJs. That's a weird. You've played shows that are weird. That was a weird
played
show.
CMJ.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was people don't dance.
Yeah.
They stand there. It's all different
industry
types of
people. And they scramble for venues because every venue
going
is taken.
bouncing.
So you're playing weird venues to industry people.
So you end up with the
Bat
Bat Cave.
Oh God! But we played it, and it was. I don't put it down in the history books or anything. But we made the announcement that. They wanted us to make this big announcement there that, we're no longer, now we're back on a record label and we're recording, blah, blah, blah. And it was an exciting time because they dumped a lot of money into us. So here's an interesting part because, not to talk too much about myself, but this was a very interesting
This
part.
is your history.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
But this was an interesting part in my career because I worked with a lot of record producers over my career, and the guy who did the TVT record, Who's Machine, was really the first record producer that I recorded with that was like, I'm here for fucking you. I'm a fucking vocal producer. I'm gonna fucking forget about it. Me and you are gonna go nuts. And now it's starting to come back to me. He is how we got signed to TVT.
Okay.
Because we did, forgive me, I'm backtracking a little bit, but I'll do it quick. We did a couple of rough demos of some of the songs on Bliss that we had, and we did them through Big Blue Meanie. They didn't really come out very good. We didn't get any biters, but something came out of that, and I think it was Sean Roberts. He liked it. He's like, I think you guys need to take a couple of these tracks, go try this producer. Let's see how it sounds. And somehow that's how it happened. We went in with him. I still remember Kennedy hearing the fucking tracks after going in with him. He was like, holy fuck. And that was it. That's how we got signed. That's how we jumped the hurdle and got into TVT. So we went through the deal. We got a lot of money for the fucking record. And this was back when records cost money. And we started recording with him. And it was just it was a really really good experience. And again, as we went back, we talked earlier about my first record with V.O.D. Everybody screaming in the goddamn room. That stopped right then and there. But Imprint, no one was even allowed near the studio. Not anybody. Just me and the producer. And that was my test. And I banged out the whole record. It came out amazing, vicious, awesome. Some of it, actually, Imprint was recorded live, but a lot of the Scream stuff. But anyway, so from that point on, I would record on my own, and no one would really hear it until it was kind of in the ballpark, if you would. And that was one of the best experiences of the TVT record, was getting to record with that guy, because he really he brought my singing to another level. Like, I feel, you go through your fucking things, but that was like a big leap for me as a singer, is recording with him.
Now, is it more for technique, or like technique and like doing some producing, as far as like, hey, maybe try to double here?
It was everything.
Everything.
It was like night and day. Dave Sardi, a lot of the producers we worked for would just hit the button. Sick. Great. Dave Sardi had a really good ear. He knew when something was fucking on. And also the record we were recording was a vicious red-lined record. So you're just looking for performance, right? And there was some singing on Imprint, but nothing too crazy. And so you could kind of do that. Machine was more, he got into the songs. He was like in there with you, and he'd be pulling shit apart. No, go write this again. Try it like this. Sing it like that. Let's try this harmony. Let's double this up here. And then the vibe that he had in the room. Like, it's hard to record vocals. It's not. It's a very fake thing.
Oh, absolutely.
What we do, and Machine made it feel as live as possible. That, by the end of that shit, the sounds that were coming out of me were ridiculous. Really, really good. He was really just a great record producer. Unreal.
Now, no apprehension, right, to let him do all this stuff? It was almost like probably...
No, I was never like that. I always, especially after him, maybe a little bit in the beginning, but I was never really guarded about my shit. You're paying this guy. You know what I mean? That's one thing... You have to let your ego down a little bit. These guys have professional ears. This is what they do. You have to trust them a little bit. Or what are you paying them for? Yeah. And that's Machine. I can't say anything bad about him, because he was just such a great record producer. He was really great. And on top of that, he's an excellent vocal producer. There's a lot of producers out there that are not vocal producers.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they're not. They can twist the knobs. They can make the amp sound fucking good. They can get the performances, but a vocal producer is a different animal.
And TVT was cool with you guys with this next progression, because
if anything, they pushed it. TVT wanted more radio friendly stuff, or rock, whatever you want to call it. I still feel there's a certain darkness and heaviness to that record that people.
Sunshine,
people
like Sunshine
that was one of the demo songs. The Machine's the one who brought that song.
That's
to
a great
another level.
Great song.
Yeah. Like Southbound kind of gets rockish. Next song comes on and you're like,
Southbound was another song written right on the spot. That was another interesting point, because V.O.D. always wrote in a rehearsal sense. Every 5 guys in a room, let's fucking sweat it out, and that's all fine and good. But Southbound was the first song that we had some of the music, but then me and Matt just went into the studio and wrote in front of the board, playing again on Machines. Come in here, both of you guys. Let's go. Just start writing. I'm just gonna hit record, and just I'm gonna cycle what? Cycle this fucking part, and you're gonna come up with shit. And we just did it. And we wrote it. Boom, like nothing. And that's a very good song.
Yeah,
it's a great song.
Yeah, and it was I remember writing the song and hearing it and just being like, I'm happy with this song. This song is fucking great. I love the lyrics. There's a lot of meaning to those lyrics, and it all kind of just fit into place. And the way it was written, it was just me and Matt at the board.
It just seemed like a perfect progression. It didn't seem like it wasn't V.O.D. Like, it seemed like this is the band that V.O.D. kind of morphed into, because like it was just like totally natural.
Well, V.O.D. always had to change. We always wanted to change. We never wanted to stay the same rut. We always challenged ourselves, always tried to do better or just different. And for better or for worse, it's what we wanted to do. You know?
Yeah, it's just always like a gamble sometimes with a fan base, because you guys had a fan base.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure some people weren't ready for it.
Well, V.O.D. is interesting because, you know, I always say this because I know it. People were hating on us from day one. We had fans, but we had tons of people that did not like us, and they were always around. We were heckled. We got everything from every angle, and we were never, you know, you just keep going. You know, we're out there. This was our lives. We keep playing. We just keep going, and that's what we did. But there were plenty of haters out there from day one.
Outside looking in, it never seemed like that to me.
Right.
And even being around you guys touring and a fair amount, and never saw it. I just saw you guys sort of excited everybody. Right. You know, but I don't know about your online comments. Maybe that's what you're referring to.
No, just in general, I knew the vibe, and I've seen it. I've seen the reviews, especially in fanzines when we were younger and stuff like that. And even as you got older and the online thing happened, I kind of don't read comments ever, but you know, I just knew. I know it just from being out there and being the musician that wrote the shit. There was plenty of people that didn't like it, you know. Sellouts from we were sellouts from the first 7-inch. Right. You know?
There's no bigger cesspool than YouTube comments on anything.
Never
they could be a video of like a little girl in a tricycle eating an ice cream with a pony.
Right.
And you read underneath, and it's just like, that fucking bitch. Yeah. Who does she think she is with that pony? So. TVT goes, like, they got you all the tour support and everything. You guys were off to the races again.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, that would be the proper term. We were off to the races, you know. And by then, I moved into the city now, so it's a whole different animal. You know, 2,000 people are going pretty crazy. We're sitting on a pretty solid record contract, and yeah, we were out there, and we did Clutch, which was one of the big tours we did, which was sick. Clutch, they're even better now, but they were a great band. And that was a national tour, and a unique fan base. You know, not your run-of-the-mill hardcore fan base at all. Not even a metal fan base. Now you're talking about I don't know what, but we did well every night. It was a great tour. We had a lot. And it was an extensive tour. We were out there for a long time, but that was great, but one of the bigger things, we got to play and direct support when Slayer first came back, before any of this shit. Yeah, we got to play there when they first came back. Right. We got 4 dates with them in the Southeast. It was like South Carolina, Tennessee, someplace else, and someplace else. It might have been a little longer because it was like a week and a half with them, and then 2 weeks with the Soul Brains, which were Bad Brains, and the Slayer shit was insane.
Was it tough? Did you get heckled?
No, because it wasn't. It was amazing. We went out and just, of course, being Slayer, we were nervous, but we just fucking destroyed it. Yeah, it was unreal.
They're one of those bands that, like, anytime I take the train to go see them at, back then it was at Roseland or whatever, everyone from the train in to the show to the opening, all people just yell Slayer the whole time till Slayer plays, and then on the way home they keep yelling Slayer. Right. So it's got to be so hard to like
crazy.
Open up.
I played all over the world with Slayer between Blood Simple and V.O.D. and
very cool.
It was we did an extensive Blood Simple did an extensive tour with Slayer in Europe. Not easy, but again, we did well. That's one of those shows you got to bring it. You got to go out and there's barricades and it's foreign country, but you got to fucking just play it like it ain't, like it's nothing. You got to just rip it.
On my other show, we had Mark from Taking Back Sunday on, and he talked about how they were playing, I guess, Download, and Slayer was supposed to play, and they were going to play after, but Slayer was late. So they asked them to play before. They're like, all right, Slayer's not here, so we're just going to have you guys go on. And they said it just didn't turn out very well. So Mark told a very funny story. So I would imagine. So they played a couple of songs. The crowd just, reacted how they reacted, and they went back. And Slayer made it, and they played, and then Taken Back played after. So
they did they redid their set after Slayer. Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, according to Mark,
That's crazy.
Comes from a good source.
Yeah, good source. He was there, so.
Yeah.
So that touring cycle seems like it was shorter.
Well, here's what happened. It was shorter. We did really well here in the U.S. Again, we did Clutch. We did the Slayer shows. We did the Soul Brain shows, which were good, but they were honestly a disappointment. HR was really off.
Yeah.
He didn't fucking stand up. Yeah. It was such a disappointment. And then I can't remember what happened after that, but the part I do remember is then we got asked to we went to South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
We did, it was us, Machine Head, Slayer, and somebody else in a baseball stadium. That was insane. The next day we went to Japan and we did Beast Feast with, it was a 2-day festival. We did it with, whatever, it was a festival. So we did hours, or was it one day? Whatever it was, we played. Pantera was on it. It's one of the sickest nights Pantera I've ever seen, and I think that was the last time at least I ever saw them. It might have been the last time they ever played as Pantera with Dime. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back into the research, but they were amazing that night. And then we came home. Now we're creeping up on 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad passes away, which sucks. I was for the whole Bliss thing. My dad got sick, and we were. We were doing shows, we were going away, and he's terminally ill. So I'm fucking coming home, going to visit him, not being around, leaving, back and forth, seeing him. We're in Japan. We have Japan to do, and I get a call from my ex at the time, my girlfriend at the time, saying, you need to come home. Your dad is not doing well. You need to try and get home as fast as you can. So we only had like 2 shows or something like that. So I flew home. He passed. And then we had Tattoo the Planet. Mm-hmm. And he passed, and then the Trade Center went down. Mm-hmm. So we flew out. We wanted to drink and party on September. We wanted to get over there as soon as we can. The festival was supposed to start like September 12th or something like that. So we flew out on the 10th so we can go and get hammered in Dublin or something like that and party it up. And we flew out. Now we're over there. A week ago, my dad just passed. Now I'm fucking over there. And we're getting our equipment gear together, and we're in a drum rental space getting Brendan's drums and shit. And we're sitting there in the room waiting for the drums, and all of a sudden Brendan just comes flying into the room. Guys, a plane just flew into the tower. Something crazy's going on, and Matt's brother's in the tower. And just as we look out the window, Matt's coming around the corner. I'll never forget that, like with this fucking like dazed fucking look. Talk about some fucked up shit. So we're stranded over there. No other bands go because everybody else was scheduled to fly out the next day or whatever it was. So we're over there with a double-decker bus, burning money every day. And they're telling us every day, drive here, the festival's going to start. Drive here, the festival's going to start. Drive here.
And it just doesn't start?
They say, all right, just hang out a couple more days. This is all in the UK. All right, drive to Dublin. You're going to fucking play with Pantera. Just you two. Drive there. The festival's going to start 2 days from now. But go to Dublin. It's you and Pantera. That's it. Whoa. Right. Drive to fucking Dublin. We're in some weird fucking stadium, hayfield. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's inside. It's just a total V.O.D moment. We're sitting in where it's a huge fucking place, like 5,000 people or something. It's just us. You pull up to the marquee, Pantera, V.O.D. It's going to be like the sickest show of your life, right?
Right.
And we're sitting there. Me and Matt are sitting in the crowd. On the bleachers. They haven't let anybody in yet. We're just sitting there drinking like, this is going to be amazing. All of a sudden, we just start seeing Pantera's gear come off and roll off the stage. We're like, what the fuck is going on? We run over there. We start talking to people. Like, Pantera feels like a threat. They're leaving the country and going home.
Wow.
That was it.
Pantera feels like a threat.
That's what they told us. So now the label over there is booking. All right, we're going to set up a headliner for you. Go play this show. The festival's going to start. So we're bouncing all over fucking England, in Ireland, Scotland. And then finally they're like, all right, drive to Germany. It's going to start. And we're like, you know what? This went on for 2 weeks. Like, fuck this. You know, I live downtown, Avenue B at the time. This is ground zero. I got to get the fuck home. So we left and went home. And then rumor has it, what happened, why the bands weren't coming. Somebody wasn't coming anymore at all, and Slayer was waiting for more money. So no, that's why nothing was getting started.
You know, I don't know that to be true or not, but that sounds about right in my mind.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And honestly, to get personal, V.O.D. was, you know, there was some a lot of years behind us now.
Yeah.
You know, the band, there's some tensions within the members. Nothing horrendous. We're all still friends now, but tensions and creative differences. And we had a purple double-decker bus. And I remember sitting with me and Kennedy on, like, they had this front lounge on the front of the bus. And that's when we brainchild Blood Simple. That's when it started. Like, we started talking about doing something different.
To be a band, you know, in addition to V.O.D., or you just thought V.O.D. was going to...
We were pretty much ready that V.O.D. was going to be done when we go home for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Which
Hiatus.
wound up being a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and that was pretty much it. So
what was the blueprint for, like, Blood Simple? Like, just...
We wanted to do, the blueprint was just something more back to basics, kind of metally but heavier and faster paced. You know, that was basically the thought behind Blood Simple. And I remember it wasn't even like a week passed, right when I got home. We took like a week or two off, went to all the funerals we had to go to for the Trade Center, and Kennedy just started sending me fucking demos. And we recorded Straight Hate, September, a couple other songs right then and there. It was like from one band right into the other. It's crazy. Took some building, but, you know, we did it.
It seemed like you guys, though, then got signed pretty quickly. I mean, in the span of how quick things can go.
We, you know, again, now we're home, and it's exactly how you say it. As fast as something could go, we came home. I'm telling you, it was like a week. We started demoing shit, a really raw state, like just in a basement. I was just blasting his demo over a PA speaker. And I just started writing lyrics and wrote a couple of songs, and then we put that band together. And then by 2004, there was some interest, and then we signed in 2005, and that was quite the run.
And that was now it felt like you're more into that metal scene.
Yeah,
not doing a hardcore circuit. This is just like, okay, we jumped in metal.
Here. It was crazy because again, it was just, I mean, we were just working at it.
Yeah.
And the songs started to come out. Nick was the guitar player of that band, was a really talented producer. Like, that's what he does now. And he was really good with all the Pro Tools and the instruments, and he was really, really good. So that something me and Mike never experienced before. Somebody who can actually help us write the songs as opposed to, like, writing riffs and going crazy, you know? So it was a little more structured, and right off the bat, the guy from Mudvayne helped us get signed. So now we're on Warner Brothers. The first tour we go out is with Mudvayne. Right. Now you're on, like, a pure metal tour with a lot of the V.O.D. stuff we always used to joke about. We would do these big band shows, but most of the bands would be kind of past their peak.
Right.
You know, like we did Life of Agony without the original singer. We did Sepultura without the original singer. You know, it was kind of like stuff like that. But Mudvayne was a top 1% band. Like they recorded their single went to number 1. Right. It's like you're fucking doing shows. You show up to the show like with the first show was in their hometown. It's like 3,000 people there.
Yeah,
like rabid metal fans that all you have to do is go out there and put your middle finger up. People go nuts. So it was like it was like almost fishing with dynamite.
Right.
Like we're a heavy band. The music was pretty fucking good. We would shred it every night, and it was crazy.
Right.
It was crazy. It was big tours, and that was a big budget record. It's funny, Machine used to say you guys were like, Blood Simple was like one of the last bands that I knew of that got an old school record deal before now the record deals you get now
changed, right?
Yeah, you guys were one of the last bands that got like an old school record deal.
Right.
They flew us out. We did with Garth Richardson, big time producer. He did Rage Against the Machine. Yeah. He did tons of fucking bands, and we're up in Vancouver. They put us up in hotels and The A&R flies in, fucking steak dinners for everybody, beers for everybody. Let's go play hangover golf. You don't got to be in the studio today. It was like something out of a movie. Yeah, it was crazy. And again, as a singer, I got to work with Garth Riston's a great producer, but he's a different animal. He was hard to work with because he had an engineer that we had this beautiful studio up in Vancouver. We spent 3 months up on the Sunshine Coast. You have to take 2 ferries to get there on the side of a mountain. Like, it was really nice place to record. And they called it the farm. And he had his engineer, did all the music stuff. All Garth did was produce the vocals. That's what he did. He didn't do any of the music. The other guy did all the music. So they'd do the music. They'd send the track over to this house. All right, Tim, let's go. And he was very, very into being very laid back. Like, if you only do 2 lines today, that's okay. Go ahead. I'm gonna put you on the bench today. Your voice does not sound that good to me. Go sit down, have a couple of beers, and come back in a couple of days.
Which is better in hindsight?
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because now you start thinking, and you're waiting, and you're waiting.
Right.
I'm not a waiter. I don't like to wait around. Right. Idle time is not good for me.
You want to just get back in.
I want to go.
Yeah.
I want to go. I'm not here to fucking sit around. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was very into that. And he was very, very into pitch. If you were out, no auto-tune, you're doing it again.
Yeah.
You're doing it again. Now you're going to... He would really say this. All right. That's perfect. Now give me 8 more just like that.
That's the joke of a singer. He'd be like, that's perfect. That's awesome. Right where you need to be. Do it again. Like,
He'd all day long. All day fucking long. Same shit. I would be like, Kennedy, what the fuck? I can't do this. And he'd just be like, dude, it's just like you're doing an instrument, like me doing my scales. That's what you're doing now. And you need to hit every note. That's what they want.
Yeah.
And we had there was a lot of singing on the Blood Simple
Absolutely,
shit.
yeah.
And Garth
Definitely.
was very into pitch, and I'm not really a pitch singer. I kind of slide into the note. That's how I do. And he wasn't having that. No, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it like... But the screams was sick. Like, the screaming, no problem. He was like, holy shit. Like, he was just like...
He's probably never heard anything like that, probably. You know?
He was like, I remember, again, once you're recording, as a singer, once you start getting comfortable, get a couple songs under your belt, it's not like a big empty chalkboard. You start getting your confidence. Things go a little easier. And as we got deeper in, he was just like, holy shit. Jesus Christ. And he was... Garth was good... He was a good mixer. He knew how to really... Again, it's interesting working with all these producers. These are big-time people. They make their living off this, so they're good at it.
Right.
He was really good at building a song. Like, he would do all your fucking tracks as long as it took. Be like, go away, come back here tomorrow. And he would fly things around and double things and add things. And you'd be like, holy, this is what we did. Yeah. Holy shit.
I love that.
There was some really good vibes with that record because, again, you're living high. It's a big record deal. You got all the tours are already lined up. And things are going good. And the songs are sounding sick. But he was the one producer also. He's like, you will be singing right into the mix. You are not done until I tell you you are done. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, mark my words. You will be singing into the mix.
Just
into the mix.
Fixing more,
fixing everything. One of the biggest songs on that record, he had me in the mix, rewrite the whole chorus. Nope, something's not right here. I don't know what it is, but go in there. We're just going to start taking takes. Think of something else. In the mix, this fucking record's getting mixed around you. Fucking wrote the whole thing right there on a little shit, on a different mic, a different room, different everything.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. Do it again. Do it again. And then he would mix it and you'd be like, holy shit, he was right.
I love the art of that, and I love those stories where you work with people who, like, this is their fucking job. It's not like he has a job painting and he's like your friend helping you do some vocals. And that's what I love. Like, when I listen to bands that do it for a living, the jealousy part of me is always that you get to go somewhere for a month or whatever and just work on this record. That's your job for the month. And I feel like you just have more time to think of stuff. Like you said, it's like there's something off about this, But for other bands that are just paying for studio time or whatever, they're it's like, okay, you know what, this is good enough. I think it sounds good. We got to go because we can't spend another
We'll fix
hour.
it in the mix.
Yeah, we'll fix it. We'll fix it in the mix. Is not the way to do it.
Never want to hear that. No, he was good at getting money from the label too. He was like, don't worry, I will make the phone calls. We will get you more money, and that was it. We went up there for 2 months in the summer, which was beautiful, 80 degrees every day, sun, no rain, nothing. And then he's like, we're going to get you back here to finish up, and then we'll mix, and you're going to mix up here. And we came back, me and Kennedy again, came back in October and spent the month up there. It rained every day. It was like living on Venus. Every day, every night, rain, because the weather flipped. You're in the northwest. It was just rain all the time. It was crazy.
So you guys are doing Blood Simple, like you and Mike, right, Kennedy?
Mm.
What are the other guys doing?
They were doing that thing, Matt did his stuff. He did like a kind of a poppier. I don't want to speak for him, but it's kind of like a poppier band that he did for a while that did pretty, he was pretty professional about it. And I think he had some pretty significant record influence, but I don't know how far it went from there. Fleisch and Brendan had some weird Carnoff type band that they did, and they had fun with that. That's pretty much what those guys were doing. Again, we were all still friends, still talking. Brendan actually came out and filled in for Blood Simple a couple of times, which was a trip. We took him to Europe with us, and we took him to Japan with us, which was good just to have Brendan back, Very good drummer, he was great. And, we did that. And then Blood Simple did its second record, which same stuff. And again, it was on my forcing to bring Machine back. And now we did the second record with him, which Garth was not happy about. But, it is what it is. And Machine did a great job, although we had to get somebody else to mix it, which kind of sucked. The business is a fuck. It's tough. You got a lot of people you want that have to be, and,
appease.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. And there's like 5 different personalities and this guy and that guy. So, but all in all, that was a really good experience as well. There was a lot of partying going on at this point, which was not probably the best for everybody, but that's just Blood Simple was like that. And we went out on some really, really big tours. We did Korn's Family Values tour, which was insane. It's unreal what we did with that. And we did Disturbed, the Jägermeister tour. This is crazy because it was like a smaller venue tour for them, but it's like, again, 2,000, 3,000 people a night, back-to-back nights. Like, who does that, And again,
just, bringing it back to basics, 2,000.
Yeah, and it was that. And the people were eating it up. Like, Blood Simple was doing really, really well, and we getting something V.O.D. never had. We were getting some decent radio play. And I remember cutting through, like, Wisconsin or something like that, and they played Korn. They played Blood Simple, and then they played somebody else on, like, a commercial radio station. We're just driving through.
Right.
It was wild, and that was an interesting perspective. Kansas City, we did pretty well in. Oklahoma, and we'd play this song called Out to Get Me, and the crowd would just go freaking bananas. Like, how did they hear it? They heard it on the radio. So that was was a cool feeling.
It's not common for any heavy bands to ever, like, get into that, where you're on the radio, you come in and everybody knows your song. Even if you're a big band, even if you're Slayer, that people don't necessarily just have heard it on the radio and come to the show. So that's like a whole other level that most of us have never seen.
It was nuts. And what Blood Simple did, what V.O.D. never did, was we really tapped into, at least the people who were working for us, tapped into the festival circuit in Europe. So we were doing a lot of festivals in Europe, and big festivals. In every country, we'd go from June to August, or June to late July, playing festivals, all sorts of bands. And your off dates would be with another band. But we were lucky, like our off dates, we did it 2 summers in a row. One was Alice in Chains and Stone Sour and Blood Simple on every fucking off date. So what does Tim do? He gets to know a lot of the guys in those bands, and I wound up singing We Die Young with Alice in Chains on a festival. It was a makeup festival for Guns N' Roses. So it was just 4 bands. It was Guns N' Roses, Alice in Chains, Stone Sour, and Blood Simple.
Wow.
About 16,000 people. I shit you not. And a lot of the guys in Alice in Chains were sober. Blood Simple was a big party band.
Right.
but of course there's always one loose, who was Mike Starr, who's the bass player of Alice in Chains. So he would always come to our room to get his nips, because you couldn't be around Jerry Cantrell. That's sober city, you know, and the drummer too. And got to know him, got to talking to him. Really, really nice guy. The type of guy who he lives in L.A., comes see you play. Like, a really, really nice guy and honest guy. We started talking. Yeah, a big fan of you guys. I'd love to, you know, maybe do a try. You want to come up and sing with us? Yeah, that'd be cool. He's like, all right, I'll talk to Jerry. We'll see what happens. Shows keep going by, and I figured they're gonna do it on a club date. Yeah, you know. And he's like, oh, I didn't see him yet, but I'll definitely talk to him. Don't worry about it. We're going to do it. The club dates keep going by. The festivals keep going by. And then it's the last club date. No one says anything. I'm like, all right, I guess it's not going to happen. Sure enough, the next morning, the bass player of Blood Simple, get up. Jerry Kent, they're asking for you. You got to go to the room. They want to talk to you. We're at a festival. They don't just go, see what he has to say. He's like, all right, went in there. You know, I've seen Jerry throughout the festival. By then, we knew each other. He's like, yeah, you want to do? Yeah, well, you want to do what song you want to do? Let's do it. And we, I don't know, We Die Young. He's like, yeah, we can do that. Sit down. We start rehearsing it right then and there. Just he's playing it on acoustic guitar, just feeling it out. That was crazy. And then they came out, brought me out. It's like this place was filled. It's like 16,000 people. Crazy.
How do you? And I mean, the nerves you must have. You're looking over to your left, right?
Jerry, I'm looking at my left. Jerry Cantrell's rocking out next to you. Look, the drummer's going fucking crazy, and I put a little twist on it, like I did it a little heavier. They loved it. It was sick. It was sick. Yeah, that was a good moment. It was crazy.
I saw something too. You did something with Duff McKagan.
Yeah.
I know let's jump ahead a little bit, but what was that?
That was with V.O.D. down in Soundwave, because Vision of Distorter did the Soundwave Festival a couple years ago, which is in Australia. Yeah. That's another crazy festival, man. All you have to do is the deal was they paid you your rate, which was a nice rate, and then you just pay for your ticket to the country and back, and they fly you and put you up in hotels everywhere within the country. So everything there is free. All food, all flights within country and lodging, and they put you up in your own room, 5-star hotel. It wasn't like Boundback was sleeping next to me.
Right.
Get your own fucking room.
Right.
Fed every day at the festival, taken out to dinner every night, and flown from show to show to show. It's crazy. But we had the same manager then. It was Dan DeVita, a good guy, hard-working guy, and he put it together. He's like, yeah, I think, because me and Duff, we exchanged, there was some side project talk going on for a while. We exchanged a couple of tracks. Strange story. I remember this is early 2000, and this talk is happening. V.O.D's kind of quiet, pre-Blood Simple, and DeVita is a manager at the time, is good friends with Duff, and Duff's demoing side projects. And he's like, I'm going to get you some of this stuff. Would you try it? And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to hear it. Duff McKagan, why not, And I remember getting that demo, putting it in, and being like, oh, man, I hope this sounds like it's so easy or whatever. And it was like weird electronic shit. I was like, God, that was my exact reaction to it, and didn't really go much further than that.
That band was called the Postal Service.
Yeah. So, but then same powers that be put that together. Duff, again, another really, really nice guy, sober, honest, cool, not to mention veteran. Like, the guy's been through it all. Very cool, humble person for his status, and he was just right off the bat, yeah, sure, come on, let's go. And we same thing, side room, just kind of rehearsed it out, went out and did it. Yeah, that was wild. We did It's So Easy.
It's So Easy, yeah.
It was cool.
Which is
cool.
Probably, well, I mean, not probably, it's definitely my favorite song off Appetite.
It was like a mix though, because it was part of It's So Easy, but it was actually You're Crazy.
Okay.
But it was the mellower version, and then they pick it up at the end. That's what it was, and it was cool, man. It was cool. Yeah, it was fun.
Something to throw in the memory pile.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's half the reason why you do it.
Yeah.
If Duff could have gotten it together and laid off the electronica,
who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
And that just to sort of finish off with Blood Simple. I mean, you've explained how big it was.
Yeah.
And then there was a point that V.O.D. did a couple of shows on Long Island.
Yeah.
And did Blood Simple play?
Well, what
also,
happened was, this was me. I set this up. It was a Blood Simple show. I don't know if it was a Blood Simple headliner. Something happened, but I was talking to some of the guys in V.O.D. then, and it was like my idea why don't we do a couple of tracks? Why not? You guys, what do you, oh, it was, I put together, it was a Blood Simple headline or something, but I put on all the opening bands, and I put Fleisch's band on it. Right. And I put a couple other bands, I can't remember, but Fleisch, I'm like, we're all going to fucking be there. Let's do it. Let's sound check it. We'll make it like a secret, whatever type show. And that was a weird feeling because we all agreed to do it. And then we had a sound check. We didn't rehearse. Yeah. We just went and sound checked it and see how, all right, I guess we're doing it. It was weird to sit there and play those songs again. I hadn't played them in years. Yeah. We're talking old V.O.D. stuff before any of the reunion crap. So I haven't sung these songs in years. And it was cool. It was like just getting right back in the saddle. And that was crazy because the word got out. The show was fucking packed.
Yeah, we all knew.
Yeah, and of course, as it came to the end of the set, more people started to pile in, and once we hit those chords, it was crazy. Yeah, and then we did. By then, V.O.D. we did this Dead in New York documentary, and we had this psychopath friend of mine, Bill Yukich, shoot it. He did the V.O.D. Southbound video. He's some whack job from out in L.A. A big video producer, and he shot that, and he's very thorough. He also did a couple Blood Simple videos, and he's a crazy guy to shoot with. So it was, did 2 shows back to back and mixed them down and stuff like that, and put that out, and it was cool.
And then how does Blood Simple then end, and then V.O.D.
Blood
starts
Simple
again?
ended like in a giant explosion of hell, which I don't know if I really want to get too deep into, but it needed to end, and it ended. That's, I don't know, a lot of it fell on me, which is okay because it is what it was. That train was just rolling too fast, and it was time for put the brakes on and just get my feet back out on the ground.
Right.
So that was that. And again, right on the fucking heels of that, I think you might even have one of the pictures here. I think it's this fucking photo. Yeah, we decided to start doing shows again, and that was like not even a month after Blood Simple broke up.
The picture you're referring to is just the whole band back again. Are you guys holding hands?
And I don't know what we're doing. I think there's beers in that picture.
Everyone's either pointing at something or holding hands.
Yeah, and right on the heels of that, we decided to start this beast
May
up
15th,
again.
2008. That happens to be my birthday.
Yeah, really?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then V.O.D. started up again. We had, what was funny, and I'll throw this in here, Blood Simple, as high as the shows we were doing, I don't know how much more time we have here, but as big as shows we were doing, the far ends of the earth, there would always be some fucking idiot I'm putting everything, my whole life into this. Yeah. When is V.O.D. going to be back? You guys were amazing. Right. What's going on with this right now? How long is this going to last? And, V.O.D. was, this is what was weird. V.O.D. started to take on this weird trailblazing thing. Like, we started this whole fucking metalcore thing. Like, we never thought that, but a lot of people started to think like we were like this legendary thing that's helped spawn this metalcore movement, which we never thought. But now I'm starting to hear this everywhere I go, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, where the fuck were you guys in 2000 when we needed you?
Well, it's new fans get into it, but the fans that were there almost sort of like take it for granted that you'll be there, and then when you're gone, they start to miss it, and maybe there's nothing else coming in to sort of take that.
It's a weird feeling.
We've all done it. I've done it like other bands that I liked,
Right.
And I think that's part of what happens, and your band stands the test of time, and
it's a weird
just
thing
doesn't
when
go away.
It's weird. It's it's probably, when I get interviews and people ask me questions like, stuff like what's your best thing that's happened to you, with all this. It's to hear something like that, to be that somehow you survived the test of time and you've influenced a fucking genre of music. Yeah. Did you think that's what we set out to do? No, we were just playing music. We played what we liked, what we felt was good.
Right.
And then you come away 10 or 15 years later, people are telling you started a whole fucking scene or contributed to a scene.
Right. I think people caught up every year. Mm-hmm. Every year there's like there's a new kid and somebody older is like, yo, check out this band V.O.D. And then that's it. Every year someone does that, and then, come 2012 and, new record comes out.
It's a very humbling thing. And like I said, during that time, there were a couple of offers and headliners that were really successful. Like we did Irving Plaza and sold it out. We did another show and sold at the Donkey and sold it out. We did some really good stuff, and we got the ear. All right, we did some shows. Now we're gonna do. What are we doing this for? Do you want to do a record? I don't know, man. And we finally, all right. So we started that whole thing, writing songs, and again, demoing songs, and this guy likes it, this guy doesn't like it. Long story short, Candlelight in the UK, really passionate guy named Darren. His name is Darren, he goes by Daz. He was the A&R for over there, and what we liked about Candlelight, it was like, here's the check, go do your thing, that's it, tell us when you're ready. They didn't bother us. Daz was really good like that. He was firm at getting what he wanted, from the shows and the business. But with us, he's like, I know what you guys do. I know whatever you're going to do is going to be mint. Just go do your thing. Here's the fucking check. And we went with Will Putney, who is Machine's protege, if you would, for that record right there. The Curse Remain Cursed. It was a good experience because now we're all a little older. Whatever beefs we had were buried. Egos now, a little less, you know what I mean? And here we are in the room again. Another dirty room out in Belmore. We always seem to wind up at Belmore, like these shitty fucking studios. But we wrote that record, and Will was another good producer that, again, he knew what a lot of these producers through the years tried to make V.O.D. this, tried to twist us to be that. Will, again, just like, I think that's why Darren got him to do the record. He knew what V.O.D. was, knew what we were capable of, just let it go. And he produced, and that was a really great record, and people said it was, it came out great, and it was the return, or whatever the hell they want to call it, but it was a good experience,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was great.
Thanks.
And then you get into this weird thing that you become now a big band part-time. Mm-hmm. Everybody has lives. Everybody has jobs. Everybody's, there's a certain amount of kids and families and different things that are happening. But back when we were younger, you get off tour. If you work, it's just to make a few bucks, just so you can get back on tour. But it's a different time now where you can actually sort of have both. Part-time big band. And you're not a small band. Right. It's a big band doing big tours. You guys, even when you come back, doing shows with Slipknot. Does it get any bigger than this?
It's crazy.
It's not like you're back playing. You'll choose to do some smaller shows. I've seen you guys do it. To me, seems like best of both worlds, but I imagine it comes with, it's hard to juggle all of that stuff.
It's hard, and I've heard that from a lot of people, that it is the best of both worlds. And in a way it is, but it's also in a way it's like fighting with one arm behind your back, because you can't go out there. And I get this from my booking agent all the time. He's like, why don't you fucking guys just tour? I can have you out there every day. You have no idea the offers I'm getting for you. Every day you can be out there. You can make some money. Of course, you're not going to make the most, but you guys can be on tour all the time. Just please let me put you on tour. But no, we don't really want to go out on tour.
Right.
It's like the same thing. Where were you 15 years ago when we had it? Because that's what I said a lot of times in this interview. Certain times in my career where I didn't have any responsibility. I can write imprint every afternoon from whatever it was, 2 o'clock till 7 o'clock at night, come home and write all the lyrics, have it all ready for the next day.
Right.
I don't have that anymore, And that was my beef with my booking agent, who I still have now. And he's just like, please, just give me anything. I put you guys out, this, that. You have no idea who I'm submitting you for. Don't bother. We're not going to do it. What are you going to pay me? You're not going to pay me enough.
Right.
And that's what it basically comes down to now. Like, we can't do any long-range touring, because the money's just not there. And we've been there where we go out, you make $500 a night over a month. They split it 10 different ways. You pay gas, you pay this, you pay that. It's just not going to go like that anymore. So we do the Slipknot stuff, because that's now you're going out to play for Slipknot for 2 nights.
Right.
Main support. all right, we don't care what we make. We can float that. We make enough. Let's just go, just cover whatever it is, Or we'll go do, we did a festival. I think it was, the guy's just getting it off the ground, but the 44 festival up in Toronto with Sick of It All. It was fucking great. It was a bunch of hardcore bands, Walls of Jericho, Sick of It All. Guy from Rancid had one of his side projects. And it was a good 1,000 people there, but and then we flew up.
Yeah.
We got a hotel. We ate some food. We hung out with them. Flew home the next day. Then we did what I was telling you earlier, where we got a little too busy than we wanted to.
Yeah.
We went and did the UK, and we did it in a 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
Shows were fucking sick, but I left on Thursday. I was back home Monday morning.
Wow.
Like that's what I want to do, but
Right.
it's hard to do that, and it's hard to make it work, and it's hard to make. You don't have to make that much money for that, but those opportunities are few and far between.
Right.
And then we got an offer to do Hellfest. Like 2 weeks later, we went out and did that. And how many people can say, like, we had an awesome slot on Hellfest. We played for a lot of people, and we ate dinner in Paris the night before. Like, we flew home the next day,
Pretty good, Tim.
It was good. It was good. And those are pretty much the things we choose to pursue now. And, Life of Agony show. That was the last show we did as V.O.D. was Life of Agony out at Mulcahy's, which I never... Mulcahy's. I played... I'm from Long Island. Played out there my whole life. Never played there.
Right.
Was very skeptical to play there.
I saw Social Distortion there.
Well, that's a different type of band, And we're friends with the guy who books all the shows at the Amityville. We've been booking with him for years. What's his name again? I can't remember his name at the moment. But he's
Dave?
Dave. Really nice guy. Yeah. Me and him have a good relationship. He did all the donkey stuff with him. He's like our Long Island guy.
Yeah.
He takes care of us. He pays us well, and he promotes the shows. And I remember being like, dude, Mulcahy's? Come on, man. I don't know. Why there? Can't we do it someplace else? You and Life of Agony are too big. You're too big for this place. Not big enough for Paramount. It's gonna be good. Trust me. That show wound up being amazing. It was a really great show.
They always had a good sound system there because they would book all these big cover bands, and the sound system was great.
Yeah.
I was just there on Saturday. I went to go see the Menzingers, and then the last time before that I was there, I went to go see LA Guns and Faster Pussycat.
Wow.
So, you cover the spectrum.
Yeah, that's a fun night.
Both club loaded shows.
We so that was pretty much where we're at now. We recorded the last V.O.D. record. We did that recently, like 2 years ago or something like that. Raised to the Ground.
Yeah.
Another good record, and another time that we wanted a producer. We wanted somebody different. We like to work with different people. It's important, but it's got to be something that fits us, especially V.O.D. Sure. It's a very specific sound. We've seen what would happen if it's brought the wrong way, and so happened. Again, this was our second record with Candlelight, and he brought up Zeus. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows him. He does all Hatebreed, all the Earth Christ, on tons of heavier bands. And right when we heard his name, because we've heard his name for years, we've always been like, we definitely want to do a record with him. And that was a good thing, because we rented a studio. It was a crazy studio.
Belmore?
No. Well, we wrote it in the shitty Belmore studio. You should have seen Zeus's face when he came there. But anyway, we wrote everything at the shitty Belmore studio. Zeus is up in Connecticut or Massachusetts. Doesn't take him long to get down here. And then we rented, to do the record, we did Norva Studios out in Staten Island. I don't know if you guys ever been out there. It's a really nice studio. Oh my God. It's got a beautiful house, great room, great mic. So we did everything there, and Zeus could stay there. So that was his thing. He wanted to be able to stay. So we put him up over there. And Zeus is another producer. He came in, heard the stuff. He didn't want to change much. And right away, we're like, all right, that's a good sign. And he's really, really good at getting performances as well, and doesn't overdo the vocals. He's Machine is more dissective, goes in, tears things apart. Zeus is very hands-off. That performance sounds raw, sounds great, and that's in that. But he can mix. His freaking... V.O.D., those personalities are very hard to agree on anything. Anything. Everybody likes the way that record sounded. He really did a great job.
My favorite V.O.D. sounding record.
Yeah.
And I think Electric Sky is probably top 3 songs you've ever written.
Well, when I heard that song, again, we're always challenging ourselves. We want to do something a little different, but we also like to keep it within the vein. And that song, when Kennedy started playing that, I'm like, that's like an Imprint song. That's
that
a
riff.
really good song.
Yeah.
And it's a long song, a little longer than I would want it to be. But there's some great songs on that record. And again, I think Zeus really, really captured it. And we've recorded stuff, then we've hired mixers, hired a separate masterer. Zeus can do it all.
Yeah.
And he's a really good mixer. He's really good. And we were very happy with that record.
Did you have Matt left? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt left. Josh is in. I mean, I don't even know why. I'm not sure why did Matt leave. Do you know why?
Matt, V.O.D. is a long-running band. You're talking a lot of years. How many bands after that many years are really together without replacing at least somebody, And that was hard because that was one thing we always prided ourselves on. It's like we're still the original unit.
Yeah.
And I remember we were playing somewhere. Oh, this is a funny show. It's that show that's right on the wall there. You see the Sick of It All Cro-Mag show?
Yeah.
That was the famous stabbing show.
Oh, the stabbing show.
Yeah, that's why I have that.
Holy
and yeah.
Oh.
We ripped that show. A great V.O.D. moment. Packed house.
Yeah.
Sweaty. 100 degrees out. Really hot show. We got on, destroyed the fucking place, tore the roof off of it. The second we fucking got off stage, the whole show, that's when he stabbed him. The whole show went under.
Right. So you're the only band that
we're
played.
only band. The only band. None of the headliners played.
So this is the show that it was Sick of It All, Cro-Mags, Vision of Disorder, Absolution it was a CBGB festival at Webster Hall, and the old bass player of the Cro-Mags came to the show. Something happened. There's different stories.
I wasn't there.
There's
the
all
old
different stories.
Beefs from when I've
he
heard.
got stabbed. He got arrested. It was like the front page, I know, of the New York papers. And
Got a lot of phone calls the next day. Are you all right? Are you all right? Were you involved in that? No, not me, But, and we were the only band to actually, the opening bands played, then we played, and it was a sick show. It was packed front to
At least
back.
you got to play.
Yeah. The point is, I remember Lou from Sick of It All coming up to me early in the day when everybody's doing their sound checks. He's like, "Oh man, I'm so psyched. I watched you guys, and I'm so psyched that it's still the original lineup, still the original guys." Not many bands like that. So what I was saying earlier, we really prided ourselves on that, and it sucked. Matt left because it was Matt's time. He was done. He wanted to leave. How long are you gonna fucking do this for? And he wasn't happy. All good. We didn't want him to go. We're still friends, still talk, so that was that. And I, for years, was always telling Kennedy, dude, we don't need another guitar player. Just go and fucking do your own thing for once. And I was really pushing for that. On the last V.O.D. record, Mike did it all. He recorded everything. He wrote everything. Obviously, we all wrote the music together, but when it came down to it, a lot of the guitar stuff was from him. No other guitar players. And I pushed him into that because I really wanted to see what he would do, and I think he did an excellent job. And but we never wanted to play live as a four-piece.
Right.
So Deco, again, that was my move because Deco did a lot of teching for us through the years. Great tech, great guy. So he's already pretty much in the band. So I remember being like, dude, let's just get Deco out from behind the amps and put him in front. Let's go. Right. And that was it. Deco, he's a master. He can play anything. He picked it up pretty quick. And he's, we like him. He fits right in.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where we're at now. We did that last show out there, like we said, with Life of Agony. And right now, we're kind of just sitting on our hands. I play a lot of my own stuff. I keep guitars all over the house. I'm actually playing more guitar now than I am singing.
Really?
Just writing riffs, jamming around.
So you've only been in two bands, right? You've only been in V.O.D, Blood Simple, which is unusual for being in music for this long. It's more than 20 years. It's 25 years or something.
Long fucking time. Since 94, 93,
But you do play guitar, and you have the type of voice that you could sing something else. I mean, would we ever see you do either another type of band or even something, Tim Williams acoustic at Starbucks?
Yeah, I don't know. That's too predictable, but I'd hate to say everything's going to stop now. I always tell, people that I know that I've been very fortunate. My name, went pretty far. It's still out there. It's still respected. And I feel like the bands that I work with were amazing. But I think going forward, a lot of it is riding on my shoulders and what I want to do.
Yeah.
Do I want to record another record with V.O.D? Or do they want to record another record? There's talk of blood simple fucking shit because somebody went on Spotify and saw there was 2.5 million views to one of the songs. So It's like we all said the same thing, like, oh shit. The next email was, we got to do an EP, and I was just put the phone down. We'll see. But a lot of it would be me. Do I want to pick up the guitar and do a different style of music? Because there won't be, at least in its infancy, any band behind me propping me up. It's going to be up to me,
Right?
Which I'm into, and there is a very good chance that I've always wanted to do other stuff, and believe it or not, I've had a lot of demos of mellower stuff that I've done. It just never really got out there, and some of it I'm actually really proud of. But, for some reason, it's not ready to come out yet. Or, we got 2 songs and this needs to be fixed. And the guy lives in California. So it's like it's hard to get it off the ground. But, there's a very strong chance that I would do something else. Whether it would be like a Starbucks coffee house thing, no. But
unless it's in the Bronx.
Yeah. I'll go out on City Island. Yeah, there's a coffee house out there. But,
or Belmore.
Yeah. I'm very interested in it, and I have some systems on my computer that I've roughed out a bunch of stuff, and some of it's my music with guitar, very basic, and other stuff is something people just send me, and I'll just sing over it, and we'll kind of fish it back and forth. And that's what's good about at this time and where I'm at in my career, that I can kind of sit back a little bit and I can kind of filter out stuff, and I can just send things back and forth because I have everything here. I can record a demo. I'm not recording a record down here, but I got the writing tools that I can write, and it's something I'm actively pursuing now. But it's going to take time. It's harder now. And again, it's just me. And when it's no band members being like, you got to be here at this time, or you don't have a label being like, yo, let's go, you're booked at this studio, get there and take 3 days off and go down there, It's just everything naturally takes a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm very interested in that. For me, it's got to be right. It's got to feel right for me to really take that leap into it. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in that, and I think something like that will happen. Sure.
Stay creative. That's what we all do.
Well, that's what you have to do. And, again, for all of us, we're all, have that creative thing about us. And like I said earlier in the interview, whether it's music, I build a lot of stuff. I'm a carpenter by trade, so I'm always building stuff or carving stuff. And it's just another form of creating, And it's like guitars and wood stuff. That's the way I spend a lot of my money on. Tools and guitars and music. Half the music shit I don't even use, but I bought it anyway,
Yeah, it's better to have it just in case.
Well, I have Logic, and I have GarageBand, and I have a bunch of guitars and stuff like that I write on, and I can always keep one on each floor of the house so I can grab it. That's the thing with me. It's got to be easy. If it's hard, if I got to go pull it out from under the bed and take it out and set it up, it's not happening.
100%.
So I have it hung on the wall. I take it down and I jam for a little bit and I write something out. When I was waiting for you guys, I wrote something.
I have the phone is like a big thing. It's like 109 pieces of melodies.
Threads.
In here.
Yep, I did the same thing.
That's the same thing. I just write, and it's like I have things recorded in my phone, things recorded on a recorder, things written in notebooks, things written on little pieces of paper, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is for, but it's the thing you had when you were a kid, man. You wanted to be a singer, and it still continues. I always wrote. It still continues, and that's good. I think with Sam,
that's what you have, and you got to keep using it, because if you don't use it, it's just going to dull out, And in this world that we live in, where there's so much distraction and stuff like that, it's hard to stick with it.
Yeah,
but, for me, that's just something you have to do. You have to keep doing it and developing it, as it was for the whole career. The voice started in one spot and then it evolved, and it just evolved because you kept working at it and kept doing it, kept meeting people, different experiences, and it went and it grew, and a lot of it, unfortunately, now would be it's on me. You know, it's different now, and you really have to want it, and you have to seek it out to do it.
When you say it's on you, do you mean because of who you are, you know, the way you feel, or because of your name?
I think it's almost a little bit of everything, but not so much the name that I've established. It's more of how I feel about it. Do I feel confident enough to let it out and to go there and to want to actually even expose myself? Because every time you do something like that, you're putting yourself out there. Do you want to do that anymore? Some people don't. Some people, I've done it all. I don't need to do it anymore. I'm kind of in that limbo where I still feel there's something that makes me want to pick that guitar up off the wall and play it. I'm not playing for anybody. I don't have any shows. I don't have any songs to write for anybody, but something makes me pick it up and play it and write it. And I sit there and write it, and it sounds good to me. You know what I mean? There's something in me that makes me want to do that.
Right.
You left one hell of a fingerprint on Long Island and music and all that other stuff. That's like the best thing you could ever hope for, you know, as a musician. Same as George, you know, it's like I hear it all the time with Mind Over Matter or V.O.D. So
yeah, this is something I talked to you about a year ago, sitting down and talking with you, and it took a little while, but I'm glad, because then there's just more stuff to put into the mix.
Sure.
And you know, part of what Sam and I always talk about is just like creative juices, vulnerability when you're putting out stuff, and people that like the old stuff, people that like the new stuff. And I've known you for a long time, and I know you're kind of a private guy. You've always been that way. I know that there were times that you were out there hanging out, partying, but that doesn't mean you were like to be exposed, you know, anything more than what you choose to put out there, which is your music, your lyrics, what you say in between the songs.
Right.
I've watched a lot of your interviews and your articles, and I'm like, it's still something about Tim that is a little guarded, a little protected. So appreciate you sitting down and digging in a little bit.
No problem.
Getting deep.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. It's been great. And I know how it is with podcasts and stuff like that. Like you said, you approached me like a year ago. I know how it is. Things come up. You change your mind. You don't want to do it. You do want to do it. You can't make it. I can't make it. It's all good. You know, I'm just glad that we had the chance, because I know what it's like when you're starting something like this, or you're actually doing it and you're putting your shit into it.
Right.
That's why when you asked me, I was like, no doubt. I've known him forever, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to just let's do this. It'll be great. You know. So it's all
appreciate
good.
it.
Last question.
Go for it, Samuel.
Okay, so as you know, the name of the show is If I Rule the World. All right, so we close it out by asking our guest every single time.
If we remember.
If we remember. Like on the way here, we're like, we have to ask our question. Otherwise, we'll just delete the whole thing. If you, Tim, ruled the world, what would you do?
What would I do? Is this like a long answer? Or
whatever you want.
Yeah. What would it look like?
Oh, man. If I ruled the world, I would try. Honestly, this sounds crazy. I would try and make all the people equal. Stop, overdeveloping this planet. If I ruled the world, I would put all our fucking money into space exploration, and please get us into another planet so we can expand humankind before we trash this fucking planet.
Okay.
All right. It's good. I didn't expect that.
I never know what to expect when we ask that. I mean, we've only asked it one other time, and then we asked it to each other, and we had no answer.
I thought he was going to say, if I ruled the world, no more studios in Belmore. And that's it.
From now on, only clean studios in Belmore. So, all right.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Tim. See ya.
If I rule the world, I love 'em, baby.